What's up, CB Skills? What games would I recommend for deals? Like just in terms of like grabbing fighting games? I mean, are there, which ones are on sale right now? Cause if I go to that link that you have over there, let's see. They have Castle Crashers, which doesn't really count. Like these aren't actual like fighting games over here. But this is also not a list of deals, right? This is just a list of the games. So I'm curious, like, oh, I see. If I scroll down, there's a little bit more over here. I mean, Tekken 7 being $10 is pretty good. Street Fighter being on sale is pretty good. I mean, the Capcom Fighting Collection 2 being 25% off is pretty awesome too. All right, let me see if I can do something over here that would satisfy my... So if I do this, it'll look like that, which is legible. It definitely looks like it's bleeding past the edges, but whatever. I think it's fine. I don't think anyone's gonna complain because very few people are gonna see this title screen anyway, so I don't think it really matters. Oh, that's the wrong camera. Yoink. There we go. Because, I mean, honestly, if you look at my desktop over here on my gaming PC, I think this is the right one. Yeah. Like, if you actually look over here, what do I got? Street Fighter 6, Street Fighter 5, Street Fighter 4. This is Ultra Street Fighter 4 over here. Street Fighter 30th Anniversary, Capcom Fighting Collection 1, Fighting Collection 2, Marvel vs. Capcom Collection, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, Tekken 8, Tekken 7, Soulcalibur 6, VF5 Revo, Guilty Gear Strive, Guilty Gear Xrd Rev 2, Blaze Blue Central Fiction, Guilty Gear Accent Core Plus R, Grand Blue Fantasy vs. Rising, DNF Duel, Under Night In Birth 2, Sis Celeste, Melty Blood Type Lumina, City of the Wolves, King of Fighters 15, King of Fighters 13, King of Fighters 98, Oomphy, King of Fighters 2002 Unlimited Match, Samurai Showdown 5 Special, Skullgirls Second Encore, Them's Fightin' Herds, and 2XKO. So they're all over there right now. Oh man, do I think they'll ever make a Soulcalibur 7? I mean, you can't ever say never, you can't say that they never will. Like, will they make one? Maybe. Anything's possible. You just have to have the right kind of situation. Like, someone has to just be like, you know what? I really love Soulcalibur. I work at Bandai Namco. This is my baby. I'm going to make sure that this game turns out the best possible and have someone really drive it home. But I think the only way that it could succeed is it has to be like Street Fighter 6 levels of robust. Because that's one of the things that made Soulcalibur 1 and 2 on consoles so popular, is that they had so much one-player content. And you could tell the budget, like, it's very obvious the budget for 6 is very small compared to the budget for, you know, like, say, Tekken 7 or Tekken 8. Because Soulcalibur 6, I mean, even like the create your own fighter thing, Olaf was obsessed with the create your own fighter in Soulcalibur 5. And he could tell the 1 in 6 was more or less like a copy-paste with improvements here and there. Etc., etc. I mean, I'm sure Dead or Alive 7 could happen as well. Like I said, we just need to find one person who, like, is totally down to do it at this point. Well, Tekken has its own problems right now. Tekken's biggest problem is just that everybody doesn't like the way Tekken 8 is right now. Like, I still see a lot of doom and gloom from players on Tekken 8. Like, I still see a lot of people really, like, not happy with that game. It's crazy. Hang on a second. Let's do all the socials over here. Oops. Hang on a second. I need to do all my socials, and you guys don't need to stare at me for that. Hang on a second. It's always a scary situation where the people in charge have to, like, you gotta let them move on, right? Like, Sakurai can't make Smash forever, so, you know, they've got to be able to move on. And so having Harada and them be able to move on to something else would be nice for them. But you have to find people who care about it the same way that the original person kind of cared about it, honestly. And yeah, like, if Tekken dies and Soulcalibur is dead, then VF is literally the only thing left to try to keep 3D fighters alive. There really are no more 3D fighters. It's crazy. Yeah, it was really neat because DOA, yeah, had its own space. Like, all the 3D fighters were known to be, like, super technical and blah, 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 and all this stuff. And it was really cool that DOA was trying to be, like, the flashier, like, fun, easier to get into 3D fighter. I really liked how it was, like, DOA, Tekken, VF, like, on this scale of, like, in terms of just, like, I don't want to call it depth because DOA clearly has depth, but, you know, just on how they were trying to market themselves, honestly. What am I trying to do here? That's what I'm trying to do. Okay. Whoops. Okay, let's do that. Let's do that. So, and then we can do that. Maybe I'll talk a little bit about that too, just like the demise of the 3D fighting game. But that all that'll do is just make me spiral down into the conversation of why I think 3D platforming sucks, and I don't need to go into that direction again. What? What the hell was that? Okay. Oh, there we go. Okay. Glad I fixed that problem. Okay. Which means I should be able to also do this. Let's see here. Interact. Oh, okay. It's actually there. Okay, cool. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Okay. So if I did this, for example, and I did test, am I going to get in both of them over here? Yep, there we are. Okay. Perfect, perfect, perfect. That's what I wanted. Okay. What engine is that? What engine is that crazy new Kojima game using? Because I saw that trailer for the new Kojima game, and the graphics in that looked kind of ridiculous. Like, I don't know if Harada would even be the specialist for Unreal 5 engine, honestly. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I mean, honestly, when you talk about a game like DOA, like, that was its marketing. You know what I mean? Like, even that original Xbox commercial, right? The She Kicks High commercial, you know, was all kind of off of that. And then, the movie tried to be as play into it as much as possible. They made DOA beach volleyball, all that stuff like that. So it just like it's like they didn't make any sort of conscious effort to not market it that way. And if they did, I think we would have heard a bigger stink about it, because if DOA 5 or 6 were like more modest, etc., dude, like, everybody would have been super mad. I mean, the fact that DOA 1 on the consoles had the age setting, which was the most hilarious thing ever. And that's the thing too, like, if they made a new DOA game, I don't think it's bad for them to lean into the sexuality kind of thing, right? To try to play that aspect up, right? I don't think like it's it definitely has a place. It's not like you're gonna do something like that and like, I mean, no one should really have any complaint about that. Let's just put it that way, because if that's literally what the game kind of was for, then it makes sense, honestly. So so they know what their audience is, and they can definitely market it that way. And frankly, DOA 7 could be wildly successful if they did market it that way. Because if you actually think about it, like, it might appeal to a lot of the people who are like, oh, all these other games are woke now, whatever, blah, 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 but this game is still, like, it might be like that, the Stellar Blade syndrome, you know what I mean? Where, like, a whole bunch of people were like, let's go and, you know, buy Stellar Blade because it's still made for us, the real video game fans, you know, kind of thing. So, I mean, there is that aspect, too, so... Yeah, I mean, they could definitely lean into the whole stage stuff, because that's kind of what they were leaning into before. Like, if they could just make DOA 7 like a fighting game, but like seriously, like you can go in all these different directions on the stages, and like all these different things could happen. It'd be weird because obviously with a fighting game, you'd have to figure out ways to make it properly transition from stages to stage. But like also, if you looked at the old DOA games, it was always, you know, you would either go sideways or down. Like you always had to start on the top of the hill because there's no way to stage transition someone upwards, right? Like it kind of doesn't really work that way. But see, that's the thing, is like, it doesn't have to forget the competitive side of it. It just doesn't have to focus on it, right? It doesn't have to be like the main thing. But I think the thing about it is stuff like Evo and being at CEO and Combo Breaker and having that reputation as a fighting game is a big selling point for a lot of fighting games and such. So like, you know, I feel like they would still try to make it a good competitive game so that it could still be really, really good in terms of like tournament play and stuff. So yeah, the elevator would have to be the one, right? But how many elevators are you gonna have? Are you gonna have trampolines? Like, are you gonna kick someone into a trampoline and they're gonna bounce all the way up, you know? I'm telling you, for the last time, we did not order a giant trampoline. Well, you could have told us that before we set it up. Well, I mean, it's not a property of Sony, but like, it kind of isn't like not. I mean, like, what makes it better that it's not part of Sony at this point, right? So, jeez. Yes, Emperor's New Groove. Yep, thank you. I'm glad you knew that. I wonder, like, I mean, it's such a short scene that I'm sure if I played it here, I won't get DMCA'd, but we'll see what happens over here. It's like one of the greatest, oh God, I love that movie so much. Let's see here. Yeah.
Last time, we did not order a giant trampoline.
You know, pal, you could have told me that before I set it up.
Yep. God, that movie is so good. It's one of my favorite movies.
Learn how to be in a T-Mobile iPhone.
Honestly, one of my favorite movies, dude. Like, I think it's one of the funniest movies of all time. Like, legit, like maybe one of the top 3 funniest movies I've ever seen, honestly. So, yeah, I don't really know much about DOA, Tachikoma, unfortunately. So I don't really have the ability to kind of chime in on that kind of thing. So, I have an impromptu question. In what game people discovered negative edge? I wonder if it was on purpose or not. Oh, 100%. 100% it was on purpose. It was in Street Fighter 2. The very first fighting game, Street Fighter 2, had negative edge. And the reason why it had negative edge is because what they discovered was that this is another one of those history segments over here. So, yeah, the original Street Fighter 2 had negative edge, and it was 100% put in on purpose. The reason for its existence and the reason we ended up with 2-in-1s or cancels or buffers, whatever you want to call them, into special moves is because what they discovered is that people would try to do special moves, but they would hit the button too early. So you would fireball, but you would hit punch at down forward, and then you'd get to forward, and then you wouldn't end up doing the fireball. So they made the first few frames of every normal cancelable into special moves, and that way if you did fireball and pressed the button at down forward and got to forward and let go of the button, it repeated the button press. And if you did that when the controller reached forward, it would cancel the first few frames of the normal attack into the special move. It was a way to help special moves be much more easily performed. And so they were there since the beginning, absolutely on purpose. They put in this big old buffer window that allowed people to cancel the normal moves up to a certain amount of frames. I think it was like 7 frames or something like that, 7 or 8 frames. Like, they put that window in there, and then they discovered they could do that on hit. So now they could do low forward fireball, and then they were like, that's a bug. But then they were like, this is fun. And so they left it in, and it actually made the game better. So, but yeah, the whole point of negative edge was to make fighting games, the special moves, easier to do. Street Fighter 1 has negative edge as well, but I mean, it's actually easier to do special moves in that game with negative edge than it is with button press, which is weird, and I don't know why. But again, that's not exactly like competitive fighting game, so I'm calling Street Fighter 2 the first one because that was the first one that was wait, is that actually true, Mike Lee? It was supposed to only work on negative edge? Is that why it's easier to do with negative edge than it is with pressing the button? That seems really weird. Seems very, very odd to have done that, so. So SF2 is considered the first fighting game that actually, like, was competitive and, like, you know, you could use multiple characters in that kind of genre where, like, that was almost became the main point of the game. There's a lot of games out there where you could fight other people, like Karate Champ and all these things like that, but they were never as, like, it just never was as precise. Because if you play Karate Champ, sometimes it feels kind of random, right? You play Karate Champ and sometimes it seems like you go, and then they get hit and you're like, I don't know why that third one hit, but whatever. No, it was in the arcade first. Karate Champ is in the arcade first. There are very, very few games that were on the NES first and then put into arcade. In fact, Castlevania even had an arcade game first too, if I'm not mistaken. I believe Haunted Castle was in the arcade before Castlevania on the NES, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, Karate Champ. I mean, Karate Champ on the NES was, Ghouls and Ghosts in the arcade first. All of them, almost everything. And the funny thing is the NES version, sometimes because they couldn't do what the arcade did, they made a completely different game, and in many cases ended up with an extensively better game. Like, Bionic Commando in the arcade is just a mindless action shooter. And then Bionic Commando on the NES turned out to be one of the greatest video games like of all time. Like, it's crazy. Strider is debatable because the Strider NES game was not very good. And the Strider arcade game is just like one of the most fantastic games out there. It's so good. It's so good. But yeah, the hardest thing about Karate Champ on the NES is that I don't think you could play it the right way. The arcade Karate Champ was 2 joysticks. So both players had 2 joysticks. So you would do different joystick combinations to do like different attacks. And if I'm not mistaken, on Karate Champ on the NES, it was just joystick and 2 buttons, right? So you didn't even get the proper feel of Karate Champ on the NES version. Haunted Castle is after NES Castlevania. Okay. Because I remember one time I ran into Haunted Castle randomly at like Magic Mountain, and I was like, what the hell? They made an arcade Castlevania? And me and my brother were like, what? And then we never found it again. We couldn't find it anywhere else. And then when we went back to Magic Mountain, it was gone. We were like, let's play it. So we played it, and you had like 1 life, and then you like got hit, and then you just died, and it was game over. And we were like, what? The trend at that time was to make these really horrifyingly evil platformer games like the old RoboCop game and stuff like that, where it was just like 1 life, and after you beat the stage, you didn't even get your health back and all this stuff. Oh man, it was crazy. Well, Captain Commando was part of the Capcom 4-player, TMNT style beat 'em up games. Bionic Commando on the NES was just freaking amazing. Oh god, it's so good. So, for example, Brood War fine-tuned mechanics and matchups with maps done by people unaffiliated with the developer. I mean, people have tried to do stuff, but they did touch the game. Like, there is that Street Fighter II New Legacy where someone tried to balance Super Turbo in the way that, they saw fit. I mean, they definitely got a lot of feedback from community and stuff like that, but, it was still largely just like a one-person kind of thing, so... Yeah, but like I said, Capcom made a bunch of those games, right? Like, they made the one that was clearly supposed to be Romance of the Three Kingdoms characters, but either they didn't get the license for the ROT3K characters, and so they just, like, named them something else. They had one that was with, like, robots, if I'm not mistaken and stuff, but... yeah, Capcom used to make a lot of those beat-em-ups, and then the 4-player beat-em-ups became... really, really popular thanks to TMNT and The Simpsons, and so everybody started making those games. X-Men was the great crazy one because X-Men let you play up to 6 players. And God, that game was fun. God, I remember playing at the UCLA arcade, like everybody was like teaming up and doing like really, really good tactics to beat the game and stuff, and it was really fun just to have an arcade of 6 people all playing X-Men intelligently and playing it smart. Like the way that they actually made it work, the way that you actually played it was that 2 players would actually stay on the very left side of the screen. So if you're looking at the screen here, 2 players would stay on the very left side of the screen. They would never leave hugging the wall. The only reason why you had 2 of them, you could have just 1, but the reason why you did 2 of them is just backup. because every once in a while a bad guy would come off screen, like, and you'd be over here and a guy would come here and knock you away, but then this guy would still be holding the screen. So what happened is the two guys would hold the screen over here, and they every time we'd want to advance, they would move forward and then back, forward and then back, and then forward and back, and forward and back. So what you would do was scroll the stage ever so slightly. So if you scrolled the stage, a lot of the times the bad guys who came and fought you were staggered. Like, they didn't show up in a line, they were staggered. So if you actually did that, walk, stop, walk, stop, you could actually get one of the bad guys in, and all four of the guys who are running around over here would just kick its ass, and then you would slowly advance the stage and let the next guy come in, kick his ass, slowly advance the stage. So like there's certain parts where they like try to overwhelm you with all these things all over the place, but you could actually control like how many things you let in and stuff like that. It was amazing. The problem with the 6-player cabinet was that the players who had to play on the very edges, the controller was turned sideways, but if you faced the wrong way, like it was like messed up. Like you had to hit up to walk forward if you were playing on the side guys, because they knew you would be watching like you would basically be facing, you were perpendicular to the screen. So they tried to make up walking forward, which failed miserably, because in X-Men, that X-Men arcade game, there's this part where there's a bridge and you can walk off the top or the bottom of the bridge and you just instantly die. And so like a bunch of us were playing and we got to the bridge and someone joined us. They put the credit in there and they held, you know, what they thought was forward on the controller, which turned out to be down, or I think it was up or something like that. And so it was basically start, game over. And he was like, what the fuck just happened, dude? Like, sucked, dude. I felt so bad for that guy. Oh, man. Yeah, the Dungeons and Dragons ones were cool. I mean, that was the hard thing, is that back then it was all about, you know, like we couldn't save our games on the arcade, and that's what made it tricky, right? Back in the day, I tried to design a way to make a role-playing game in the arcades, you know, and based off of like a password system that like would print out barcodes, and then you would scan the barcode to get back in and stuff. And like, this was before internet was like a good thing, you know? AVP, oh my God. We'll never see Lin Kurosawa ever again. Lin Kurosawa and the Ote-top. Ote-top! I should stream some retro games, but you know, just like the action platformers and stuff, yeah. But AVP was so good. Especially, have you seen Gun Jahudi Kai? Have you seen the high-level AVP stuff? Like, the things that people figured out you could do with Lin Kurosawa in that game are like completely messed up. Like when you actually see what high-level AVP looks like and what Lin Kurosawa could do, like Aliens and Predators stood no chances, dude. Like, it's so crazy. Like, Lin could air throw an alien, so like you could launch him and like jump up in the air and juggle like with a pogo, kind of like Chun head stomp, and then go for the throw. But she recovered so fast after the air throw that the alien was still in the range for an air throw. So you could actually air throw the alien, air throw the alien, air throw the alien, air throw the alien, air throw the alien. And like, you just watch the alien's health meter go pew, and it is just gone. Dude, it's crazy. It's crazy, the things that you can do in this game. And it's so fun to watch, I swear. Like, I just, I don't know, like, it's so hard to figure out what it is that I'm trying to find over here. Because a lot of videos I'm finding here are just, oh, hey, we're playing the game. But, like it's, like, you have to find the high-level players. Like, these guys are ridiculous. Lin Kurosawa. This just looks like they just played the game straight through. Oh, maybe it's this one here. Just gonna jump ahead over here. Cadillacs and dinosaurs, yeah. So this one says no death, 1 credit, no death with Lin Kurosawa. Expert difficulty. I just want to see if he finds a cheesy way to beat this game, or if he actually does all the crazy shit in this game. Yep. Yeah, he knows exactly where the aliens show up, and so he just air throws them before they even really get into the screen. It's hilarious. Oh my god. Oh yeah, here we go. Let's see. Okay, he's gonna kill all these guys with the guns first. Okay, come on, come on. Let's see. Okay, let's see. We'll get to the point with no gun here. Let's see. Yeah, he's just shooting everybody to death over here. So I'm not sure if he's doing this, like, if he's doing all the advanced technique stuff here, or if he's just doing very, very careful play and making sure he shoots everything to death by staying far away. Yeah, so she's just this is not what I wanted to see here. Oh, wait. Oh, this might be a good one here. It says acrobatic show, Lin Kurosawa. Let's see. Let's see if this one works. Let's see if this one works here. Oh, yeah, doing the infinite wall jump. All right. Dude, should she kick the grenades back at them? I didn't even know you could do that. There's gonna be an MVC2 random select tournament? That's gonna be so unfortunate. I mean, if you're gonna do a random select tournament, I would rather you do an auction tournament instead, you know? Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Let's see. Copy. There we go. Okay. Oh, okay. Here we go. Oh, this is no tool assisted, no cheat. Here we go. Air throw, air throw, air throw, air throw, air throw, air throw. Boss, that thing is dead. That was the boss. He died. Oh, and this explains it here. This just shows all the different techniques here. I don't want to keep doing this. I'm gonna have to mute it because there's actually music in here. But yeah, they're showcasing a lot of the stuff that the aliens can do as well. And that guy is supposed to be Arnold Schwarzenegger's character, if I'm not mistaken. Major Schaefer, is that supposed to be Arnold Schwarzenegger's character from Predator? I can't remember now. But yeah, the problem is the Alien versus Predator franchise partially owns all of these characters. So that's why they haven't been able to release this again, because they can't get like the proper like rights to actually show this kind of a thing. Yeah, there's a lot of like really cool Lin Kurosawa techniques, and I'll have to see if I can find some of it some other time. So, okay, yeah, we'll worry about that later. I should probably talk about the things that I want to talk about here. Oh, so Schaefer is his name from Predator then, okay. Yeah, so that was supposed to be Arnold's character, and so I don't know if Arnold is holding it back. I don't know if the Alien franchise, or if it's the Predator franchise, or if it's Capcom, or if it's Fox, or if it's Disney now, or whatever, but it's probably such a mishmash of all the different like licenses that it's just like it's almost like not worth it to try to get all of it. Oh, because they added the random select feature to MVC2, Jesus. Because the problem with that is that like you're just gonna get someone who gets a Magneto and then they'll be like, well, and then everybody just dies because they're using like Servbot, you know, Felicia and you know, Marrow or something like that. Oh man. I just want to see. There was my favorite. So Lin Kurosawa has a move. So there was a Darkwing Duck episode where they were fighting. God, what was his name? Bushwhack was his name? I can't remember. But you know, the plant duck, and he created this evil monster, and they were told that the way to drive it away was to say potato backwards, and so they kept running up to going, "Otatop, Otatop, Otatop," and like the monster wouldn't actually respond to it, and they're like, "We thought it would run away if you said potato backwards," and the monster went, "Ah," and they're like, "You don't say potato backwards, you say potato backwards," and so they just kept doing that, and it always made me laugh because one of Lin Kurosawa's move, I swear she's just yelling "Otatop." It's the move where you hold the button and let go. It's a zonk knuckle. Oh my God, Maximilian's adding $1,000. Jesus. You know, what was cool about these games is they added special moves. So a lot of these games came out after Street Fighter. And so once these games came out, they started adding a lot more special moves. Like Lynn, if I'm not mistaken, just has a down-up kick where she does the flash kick practically. So yeah, you could do a lot of different moves and you could cancel into each other. So you could do a down-up kick like that. Oh, here we go. Oh, so Keha? Is that what she actually says? It sounds like she says potatop. I mean, come on. That definitely sounds like she says otatop, right? I mean, come on. That's what I always thought it was. Otatop. And this was your escape move right here. Yeah, that's your escape move. So anyways, enough about Alien versus Predator. Let's talk about some other stuff over here. I forgot to even change all the topics and stuff over here. Did I close that window randomly? Excuse me, Jasmine. Excuse me, Jasmine. I guess I did. Hang on a second. This is where I want to go. This is where I want to go. All right. Hi, Jasmine. What you doing, Jasmine? What you doing, Jasmine? that here. And then I want to do... let's see if that works. There we go. Trying to do something different here, doing a tech video in the middle of this. What do I mean by an auction? Where did I say auction? Where did I say auction? Did I type auction somewhere? I definitely typed the word, auction tournaments. So what they did with auction tournaments, it's not quite like that, Mr. Mixer. What happens is that they randomly pick the team outside of the game. So basically the tournament starts and nobody's entered yet. And they just go up to a hat and they draw a hat and they're like, Marrow, blah, 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 Anacharis, blah, 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 blah. And then they pull out, say, Ruby Heart. The team is Anacharis, Ruby Heart, and Marrow. And then the people who want to enter the tournament say, I'll play that team and I'll enter for $1. And then somebody else was like, actually, my Marrow is pretty nice. I'll play that team for $2. And someone else is like, well, and then they're like, I'll play that team for $3. And then you auction off teams like that. The thing about it is, it's like, what if like you're like, oh, my Ruby Heart is nice, and you're like, well, this team has Ruby Heart. She may never get drawn again in this auction tournament, so I'm gonna go for this one here. And then later on, they pull like Ruby Heart, Magneto, and something, and you're like, oh, God damn it. And so basically, like, yeah, that's just all it is that like people will go random, and like a lot of the times like a good team shows up and then everybody starts bidding on it. The prize pool goes nuts, but then the person who was using that character, that team, put like the most of the money into the tournament. So in the end, like, it doesn't matter. Like, the prize pool is like $560 and he put in like $300 to play the Magneto Storm team, you know, like, you know, he might win, but like he's gonna get the least out of everybody. But if you actually can somehow get like some team that nobody else can use, but you're super good at, with for like $5, and like somebody else puts in all this money for this other team, and then you still end up beating them all, you could make a crap ton of money out of that. So that's what the auction tournaments are. This was a standard kind of tournament that I know Keats used to run all the time at Ultimate Fighting Game Tournament, the UFGTs, a long time ago. And, you know, it was always like, you know, it would be things like, like if it was a CVS2, it'd be like, you have to play Engroove Rugal, and people would fight for like auction for this and blah, 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 blah. Well, not even CVS2, because CVS2 had teams as well. So it'd be like, let's say Alpha 3, like you'd be Exism, you have to play Exism Cody, and people would auction, like bid for that character. But once MVC2 came around, like, you know, once they started doing things like that for MVC2, then it was like the whole team random, and that just made it really, really hilarious. So oh, Justin would be able to do all of that. Yeah, he's broken in a random select, but again, that's part of why he became so good at MVC1 and MVC2, because he secretly went and trained and learned literally every character, right? Everybody always talks about Justin like, oh my God, Justin, he's so good. He's so naturally talented at fighting games. And, you know, you talk to Justin and he's like, bro, I suck. Like, he had to spend a lot of time getting good at fighting games. So, You know, I know there's a lot of this talk about like, oh, are you talented? Is it talent? Is it this? Is it that? And, you know, I'm not sure I believe in the talent part of fighting games, because what part of like human nature would make you naturally talented at fighting games? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. But then you'll be like, well, look at Blas, right? He's 13 years old. He's so good. Yeah, he was playing fighting games since he was a kid because his dad played fighting games, right? That gave him like 11 years head start against a lot of other. If he was playing fighting games when he was like 4 years old, right? And he's 14 now, he's been playing for 10 years, right? Like, that doesn't mean he came from nowhere, right? Sonic Fox grew up playing back to Dead or Alive with his older brother, Quiggle, like his whole childhood. You know what I mean? Like, these players who seems like that they're just gifted, you know, a lot of the modern ones especially grew up in an environment where it was encouraged for them to play and get good at these things. And they end up learning things and picking up things that, you know, you can't explain a lot of the times. Like, I always use the Mario Kart DS example. You know, in the old Mario Kart games, you know, you had to do the pull away, tap in, pull away, tap in, pull away, tap in to get your blue sparks, right? And depending on the turn that you were taking, the surface, the angle, etc., sometimes you had to slide against, like, away from the turn longer to get the blue spark. It wasn't a fixed timing. It wasn't like 2 seconds, tap, 2 seconds, tap, 2 seconds, tap. It was like something about like the way the tire gripped the road and like depending on the angle, and sometimes it was just right when it just worked and whatever. And the thing about it is, I don't know. I can't explain it to you. I don't know how that mechanic works. Yet, somehow, when I played Mario Kart DS, a lot of the times I would start skidding and I would just be like, no, I need to skid longer. I need to skid longer. Like, this doesn't feel right. Like, I know if I tap forward in right now, I won't get the blue spark. I gotta go longer. And it was just this weird innate feel. And I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is that I detected. I don't know what it was that I was reading. I don't know what it was that I was noticing. But it was always super accurate, because a lot of times you're like, skid, skid, skid. You're like, I feel like I need to hold it, but I can probably tap forward now. It's probably my imagination, and I would tap and I didn't get the blue spark. Right? Like, somehow I was right, like 99% of the time. It's hard to say, because when you hold it, you don't know if you held it for too long and stuff. But every time I knew that I wouldn't get the blue spark and I tapped inward, I didn't get the blue spark. It was really weird. I can't explain it. I literally cannot explain how I knew. And so if you've been playing fighting games for so long as a child, and you're just going to start picking up on all these things. And so, yeah, Blas is 14 years old, but that doesn't mean he started playing fighting games at 14 years old. Is he a child prodigy, or has he been playing fighting games since he was 5? If he's been playing fighting games since he was 5, like, he's been playing like 9 years now. If he's been playing for 9 years, like, he's a veteran, right? I mean, seriously. I was talking about Mario Kart DS, Vodka Gabalski. I was talking about the DS version, because a lot of the modern ones now are not about the slide away, tap in, slide away, tap in, slide away. Now most of them are just maintain the drift in a curve, and then you will just automatically ramp up to the higher level blue sparks or the higher level mini boosts. But, you know, in Mario Kart 64, all the way through DS version, you know, it was about the side and then pop, pop, pop. And like I said, it was weird because I just got to a point where I knew that I wasn't getting a blue spark. And like I said, it wasn't a time-based thing. There were so many factors involved: terrain, the angle in which you started the turn, et cetera, and just like, there's all this weird stuff, and I still don't understand it. But there was something about it that I just understood. You know, my friend told me a story of when his kid was just a little baby. Oh, dude, I snaked so crazy in Mario Kart DS, and this was after I got top 8 at EVO. I learned proper snaking after that, so if I had known it beforehand, I probably would have done a little better. But my friend was playing World of Goo, and he was building up a tower and all that stuff like that, and it looked fine to him. But then his little boy, baby, like maybe 2 years old or something like that, just watching him, 3 years old, I don't remember how old he was, we'd just be watching, and then all of a sudden the baby would just start going, like get nervous and like start making noise, and my friend was like, what's wrong? What's going on? What's going on? And then like seconds later, part of the tower would start collapsing. Like the kid was seeing something that he was not. You know, it's crazy. It was weird. He was like, yeah, every time when my structure was probably unsound or was going to break, my kid could see something and he would start making noises and I'd be like, oh shit, what's going on? What's going on? And then something would fall apart, so. Oh, man. UFA top 8 was full of young blood. Yeah, and again, like, I mean, this kind of goes into this main topic here, is that I do think FGC Discourse sucks right now. I really do think that a lot of how we talk about fighting games is really, really, really badly done at this point. But I'll get into that in a little bit here. I mean, goodness, who was the oldest person in top 8? Is it like Broski and nephew, maybe? I have not had a chance to mess with Joe. I've seen some of the stuff out there. So Sahara is 20 years old. King's Vega is 30-something. 30-something. So he's 32, 33. Blas, obviously. Oh, he's 15 now. Blas is 15. Riddles is 22. Noah is 22. Nephew is 26. Broski, I guess we don't know Broski's age. It's not on Liquipedia, at least. And then Juicy Joe is 25. So King's Vega is actually the oldest one at 30-something years old. So, but the discourse of fight. So let's go ahead and just get into this topic then. Let's do this official topic over here. Someone needs to get their car backfiring fixed or something. I don't know what the hell that was. It's definitely going down the freeway, though. It's not even that, Original Gamer. It's not even that. Like, so... Okay, I'll get into it. I'll get into it in a little second here. Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is James Chen, a.k.a. Jay Chenzor. Thank you for joining me here on the Chenzor Dynasty YouTube channel here, the Jay Chenzor channel. In the past, like, year or two, one of the things that has been really bothering me about, the fighting game community, honestly, is that I feel like the FGC is really bad at talking about the FGC. I think we suck at it, honestly. I think we're really, really bad at talking about the fighting game community. What I've been trying to do is trying to elevate the discourse of fighting games, it sounds pretentious for me to say that, but I mean, I am from a very unique perspective. There are very few people in the scene who have been around as long as I have, who are as old as I have, and just are coming from a completely different perspective here. And so it's hard to convince a lot of people that the stuff I'm saying isn't just the rantings of an old man. But I really do feel like we're bad at talking about fighting games. And I don't even just mean like, oh, social media haters, you know, being people and complaining and blah, 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 blah. No, I think we're legit bad at talking about fighting games and understanding how people learn and play and understand and process fighting games. Obviously, you've heard me go on the whole rant about heart, body, mind kind of thing, and that's all part and parcel of this. Like, I really feel like it's important for people to understand how different people look at the information we provide them. The reason why this topic has come up in my head right now is because it happened again. It happened again. Numpad notation. Discourse has reared its ugly head in social media spaces again because, oh God, what is it? NL, was it Northern Lion, I think it is? A very popular streamer was making fun of Numpad notation. It was just talking about like fighting game players just talk like in another language, like we're supposed to understand everything. And then everybody started getting on the Numpad notation topic because that was kind of how he got into the topic. And we've just got to that point again where some people are like, well, Numpad notation is the best because it's universal. You know, it's this because of this and this is bad. And a lot of people are like, I hate this Numpad notation. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. And people are like, oh, it'll take you 5 minutes. Just look at the Numpad and that's the direction of the controllers and da da da. And this is what I mean. This is what I mean. Like, I had a whole rant months ago talking about why I hate Numpad notation. And the reason why I hate Numpad notation is because I don't read numbers. Numbers are not meant to be interpreted as code to me, right? Even though I'm a math guy, maybe it is because I'm a math guy. But when I see letters represent other things. They are meant to be read. They are meant to be turned into acronyms. They are meant to be... Numbers, to me, are like data, right? And so, like, when I see 236, I don't have the brain set up to go immediately, like, 2 means this, 3 means this, 6 means this. I see 236. And so when I see an input that's like, you know, 8... 1, 8, 3, 4, 6, 2, 9. Like, I'm just like, I don't know. I don't even want to try processing it. So I look at that and I'm like, I'm done. I don't even want to deal with this. And so many people in the community also feel this way. I'm not the only one who feels this way. And one of the reasons why I keep saying that the discourse in the FGC sucks is because people don't acknowledge the fact that everybody will approach it from a completely different way. It is a completely different approach for different people. And so a lot of people can actually look at the Numpad notation and it just makes sense. They look at it and 2 already means down, 4 just means back, and you see me glancing down right now. I can't do this off the top of my head. Like, I always have to look down and be like, 7 is up back, 9 is up forward. Like, I'm looking down at the Numpad because despite having used Numpad notation for over 10 years of my life, I still do not have the direction numbers memorized. If I have to type Yoga Flame, I still have to think 4, 1, 2, 3, 6. And then I also have the dyslexia problem. When I played Soulcalibur, I always thought of the down forwards as 1, and I always thought of down back as 3, when it was the complete opposite. I don't know why. Just 1 made sense to be attacking that way, and 3 made sense. 3 felt more like a defensive number to me, and 1 felt more like an offensive number to me. So whenever I talked about Soulcalibur, I used to get that mixed up all the time. I'd be like, 3B, and I'm like, oh no, I meant 1B, you know, like it's crazy, right? And so there's all this, people talking about, oh, it's universal. Oh, if you're on the wrong side, then it doesn't apply anymore, blah, 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 blah. But like, it goes the opposite way too, right? Like, if you hate numpad notation, it works for a lot of people out there. And a lot of people really, really, really like numpad notation. And, it is the fastest to type. It is the most universal in terms of languages, because what is up, forward, down, and back in all the different languages, right? Like, it kind of sucks that you have to kind of memorize that, especially if you're from an Asian country, because you don't even use those letters. You don't even use those letters, right? Like, that's crazy. And it was acting in bad faith, though. It's only in fighting games that people suddenly become language police. Whatever. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I don't care how this conversation got started, but this conversation keeps coming back, right? It keeps coming back. But the problem is, we're not smart enough to talk about it for what it really is that there are a lot of different mindsets out there, and they learn differently. I talk about the heart, mind, and body because I'm trying to help people understand why they love Street Fighter 4 or they love Street Fighter 2, and they can't find enjoyment out of Street Fighter 5 or Street Fighter 6. And the discourse that the FGC has always been, this game is not fun. This game sucks. Like, I am a hardcore SF2 player. I play Third Strike. I play Alpha. I even played 4. 5 and 6, like, this doesn't make any, like, this game sucks. Like I try to play, I can't play Street Fighter in this game. This game sucks. And that is the discourse that we have in the FGC. That is the discourse, and again, I can't blame the FGC. This is the discourse of everybody, of the internet. But I think that we have to start learning how to talk about fighting games more intelligently here, because if that's how we're just going to approach it, I don't enjoy playing this game, therefore it sucks, we're not going to get anywhere as a scene, man. Like, this is why I'm trying so hard to promote the different mentalities it takes to play these games, right? You'll notice that every time I try to teach somebody, when you watch my streams, I always ask them what their favorite fighting game is, what their favorite video game is, because I'm trying to delve into what their mindset is and how they like to play fighting games and what kind of stuff that they enjoy and how they want to learn, right? Like, for example, if you guys watched me play yesterday, I got hit by like 80 drive impacts. Like, I blocked them all. And I died every single time. Like, every time I countered one, I swear I countered one in like 40 drive impacts yesterday. And I just got completely decimated by them. And everybody's like, oh, maybe you should, set the buttons. Have you tried this configuration? Have you tried this? Go into training mode and do all this and blah, 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 and all this stuff like that. And the simple truth is, like, that mechanic, I don't know what it is. I wish I could figure it out, but it doesn't register to me. It, like, literally just doesn't register to me. Like, drive impact happens, and I have said that maybe it's because the drive impact is so subtle on its way in. It's not a bing, 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 bing. It's a whoosh, and the character is always in a fluid motion, kind of go into the drive impact. I mean, if drive impacts all had an arm in the air like overheads, maybe I might actually be able to block them easier. But there's like no like frame one cue that this thing is happening. And so, no, it doesn't, I am not going to learn how to fight them by going to training mode and doing the exercises, which I have done a billion times. And every button configuration, like, literally, when you guys watch me on stream and someone does a drive impact and I was expecting the drive impact comes, and like a lot of times you see me, I literally don't even move. Like, I'm not even trying to find a button to press. I'm not even hitting the wrong button. I'm literally not moving at all. I'm literally doing nothing, right? And so, like, the problem is, the reason why I bring this example up is because it's hard to talk about this. Because for me as a player, I can't just be like, look, man, there's something deeper going on with this mechanic that, like, messes me up. Because people will just hear that and be like, that's ridiculous. You're just old. Like, everyone keeps using the old excuse, and it has nothing to do with age. You know, people will be like, oh, just try this, which I've done a million times. You know, again, we aren't approaching a lot of this. We aren't approaching a lot of how to play fighting games. So much of fighting games is mental. Like, when we go to athletic sports, you know, so much of those is physical. That yes, you can teach form, you can teach proper things, make sure you have the follow through when you do the jump shot. You know, you want to make sure that if you throw a football, you want to put the spiral on there, blah, 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 because this is all mechanical stuff. This is stuff that is repeatable, and for very realistic physics reasons, it is best to do something in these ways, right? Like, you're not gonna come up with your own way to like dribble behind the back because, like, the ball can only obey physics, right? You're not gonna come up with some. So, like, the thing about fighting games is a lot of fighting games is mental, and mental is where you start getting into this phase where you really have to understand that everybody learns everything very, very differently. Very differently. And I hate the fact that we, as a community, don't really talk about that. You know, back to the numpad notation thing, like, it's not whether numpad notation is better than J-Chenzor notation, is better than Tekken notation, etc., etc. It's what is the person learning the game more comfortable with, right? Like, I see numpad notation, and a lot of times they just use the angle bracket to indicate this is the next move in the combo. And sometimes they try to add J-Chenzor notation in there to differentiate between links and chains and super jump cancels, etc., etc. But you don't really see that too often. So, let's see. So Jane V says, I see numbers or letters as sets of symbols, which must be mapped with the correct context, much like direction letters like NESW for cardinal directions or up, down, left, right, being other sets of symbols that need mapping. Since I have enough problems with interpreting language due to my autism, having numpad notation being divorced from language makes it very easy to interpret for me. However, some people are great with language, so I'm guessing that numpad notation being divorced from language might make it hard for language lovers to interpret it. Yeah, like I said, for me, I don't see numbers as something that I want to process. When I see numbers, I take them at very, very face value. My brain is not set up in a way to see numbers and want to translate them. Numbers are not translated. There's no point in time in your entire life that numbers are really translated, right? Like, the numbers are always the numbers. You do get into situations where, you know, oh, atomic element is blah, blah, blah. But, you know, like, as long as you know it's a list, right? So you know that the smallest, you know, element is element 1, you know, kind of thing. Like, that makes a lot of sense. But numpad notation is very abstract. It's very abstract, and there's nothing about it that works for me, because when I see the numbers, I have nothing in my brain that tells me to translate it, because that's what you're doing. You're literally translating numbers into a different language. And because I have never associated numbers with that. And the hardest part about this is I'll explain this, and you're invariably going to get people out there who are like, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard, James. Like, it's not that deep. Like, how is that hard to translate? Just associate 2 with down and 6 with forward. And again, I'm looking at the numpad as I'm saying this. Just make that association, make that connection. And you're right, maybe if I was raised a different way, maybe if something was different in my childhood, that this would be easy. Maybe not. Maybe because of the way that certain brains just work certain ways, this is not something that I could have learned as easily. But the problem is, when I explain this, people are like, you're crazy. You're just stupid. Like, you're just dumb. Like, it's not that hard. It's simple, right? And this is the kind of stuff that we're running into the fighting game community, and kind of, you know, echoes a little bit of what NL was saying, is that, like, fighting game players are obsessed with talking, like, fighting game language, you know? I mean, it does sound really stupid when on commentary I say things like 6P and 6H. I think that's terrible. I think it's awful, because it doesn't help anybody who's new to the genre get in there. Right now, 2XKO is driving me nuts because there's an S1 and an S2. So the first time I saw someone post 2S2, I thought they were supposed to hit down special and then hit down again, because maybe you had to guide a fireball downward or something like that, right? Like, it's just like crazy. It's crazy. I sometimes have to translate decimal numbers to binary and back in my job. Whoa, that's crazy. I have never had a problem with someone telling me, oh, do crouching medium kick into SA3 to get a good punish. Right. And that's the thing, there's a lot of people. And the funny thing is, like, every time someone wants to make an argument for, you know, why one is bad or why one is good, they always go with these super unrealistic examples. Well, they'll be like, well, you know, this looks terrible, like crouching medium kick canceled into, you know, jab, you know, Hadoken, you know, canceled into Shinku Hadoken. Like, they're so, like, they're not even genuine, right? Like, because people do it the other way too, right? I did it one time and people got mad at me because I was like, okay, let me write how to do a 720, you know, like, this is do Zangief's move into, you know, this, right? And I was like, here's your 720. And, like, you know, you're just being a dick at that point, right? You're just trying to be an idiot, you know, kind of a thing like that. And so, so, like, I mean, these days, the way that I always type it is just like standing light punch, you know, crouching medium kick. And, you know, again, if I was still writing FAQs and stuff like that, drive rush cancel would be this. Oops, you guys can't see that at all. This would be drive rush cancel. I would make double arrow into drive rush cancel. Because again, the transition between two attacks is so important to me that I want that information there accurately every single time. Right? So I would do something like this and then say, okay, well, what would you do for raw drive rush? Okay, so then I would do stand HP canceled into HP vagabond edge, perhaps, something like this, right? And then I would do comma, and then maybe I would come up with a symbol like this, which is for raw drive rush, you know, from a standstill into, you know, raw drive rush, stand light punch, and then arrow means chain. So then it would be stand medium punch, chained into, like, you can't really call it crouching. It's down heavy punch. So this is where things start to get kind of crazy, right? So maybe I type down heavy punch. Maybe I just type crouching heavy punch. I'm not sure, right? But, like, I would sit down and actually try to craft a way to make this more legible. But yes, if people don't know, if you ever see this to mean cancel, so if you ever see something like this, like that, if you ever see anything like standing S, or let's do standing like heavy punch, and then this into like super jumping light punch, etc., etc. If you see commas, so if you see like crouching medium punch, comma, crouching light punch, like this. This is Jay Chenzor notation. This is my notation. Like, if you ever see that kind of notation, that's my notation. That came from me. I created that notation in X-Men versus Street Fighter, in my MSH combo fact, in my Children of the Atom combo fact. This is what I created. I created this notation to make it easier for people to process what is actually happening all over the place. And yeah, so I mean, some people, so like Wanhana is saying like this looks like letter soup because it's just all the stuff in there. And again, that's the thing. This is what's important, is that we have to understand that different people learn different ways. A lot of the times when I actually, and of course this is tough to do because it's just time consuming, and you only have a certain amount of letters and stuff like that. But a lot of the times when I actually do stuff, like let's say I'm typing Kimtech, right? So I'll be like, you know, make sure you do the light punch vagabond edge, and then I'll do like quarter circle forward plus light punch, and then I'll do slash 236 LP slash, and then I will actually go and do this, which is actually crazy. But then I'll actually be like, oops, and then plus light punch. Like a lot of the times when I write my tech on, when I write my tech out there on Twitter, if it's something that I think that everybody's gonna see, I will do this. I will actually do this because there's not one right answer for everybody, and it makes it hard for us. Yes, it is hard for us, and a lot of people don't want to take the time to do this. But the thing about it is, like, we have to understand that this is a thing, right? Like, the hardest part too is that there's been enough people that have attacked Numpad notation users that now Numpad notation aficionados are kind of snobby about it. I don't know, maybe that's just me, maybe that's just the feeling that I get, but like, it feels like that, you know, like, this is the only way we should talk about it. This is clearly the best way. Like, someone at one point in time was like, they're like, in Numpad notation, you can do stuff like, you know, like 5M, and then you can tell them to hold the H button by using these brackets, and then you can tell them to do like 2 light, and then we have this notation to tell you that you let go of the bracket. So this notation here is like press and hold the button, and then this is let go of the button. And they're like, you can't do that in the other, and I was like, why can't you just do this? Like, and then, like, it's like, it's the same thing, right? But the thing about it is, like, you start doing this, and now it's just as confusing as everything else. You are now making this as intuitive as just about anything else. Because, okay, maybe this isn't tied to a language, but does this necessarily mean hold a button? And then that means that this means let go of a button? I don't know. I don't know, right? It's crazy. So yeah, it's just really like I just feel like so to tie this whole thing kind of a little bit more logically, because this definitely sounds like a rant versus numpad notation more so than it is about fighting game discourse. We have to realize that there is not one way to talk about fighting games. There is not one way to talk about fighting games. And this happens to everybody. When you get really good at fighting games, because I was like this too, when you're in your 20s and you're good at fighting games, and you jump from fighting game to fighting game and you're good at fighting games, you're like, fighting games are all the same. They just use a different mechanic for the same thing, right? So instant air dash is the same as a dodge mechanic or a roll mechanic, because one of them is this and the other one is just like, but it's the same thing. All fighting games are the same. If you're good at one fighting game, you can get good at another fighting game, blah, 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 all this stuff. We, as a community, are too obsessed with this concept that all the fighting games are the same. And I feel like that is where we are missing out. We have to understand that all fighting games are completely different from each other, and that they will appeal to different people. And if it doesn't appeal to you, that's fine. Because right now, the discourse that we have in the fighting game community is, oh God, 2x KO, all these one-touch combo kills, whatever, blah, 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 all these fancy combos. I hate this shit. This is dumb. This game sucks. But the problem is that there are so many genres of fighting games within the fighting game community, right? And I'm not gonna compare it to like movie genres like, oh, there's horror, and then there's drama, and then, no. Fighting game community is literally, it's comedy. Is comedy. But how many different kinds of comedy is there, right? You have wholesome comedy, romantic comedies, scatological humor, you've got cruel humor, you've got slapstick, you've got puns, you've got all these different kinds of things. All these different things. And you know what's really cool about understanding comedy and movies that are comedic? Is that most people out there don't go, I hate scatological humor. Here's this movie about scatological humor. This movie sucks. A lot of times people just be like, oh yeah, I don't like that kind of humor. I mean, like, okay, yo, you like watching Jackass, okay? So you like watching all these people get beat up and blah, 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 all this stuff. Whatever, I think it's dumb, right? But like, it's not my type of humor. Like, we have that maturity, knowledge, and growth. Obviously, there are people out there who won't be that way, but there are a lot of people out there who are understanding that way. You could love some crazy comedy, but then just be like, oh God, like, please do not show me Sleepless in Seattle because I hate all romantic comedies. Whereas somebody else will watch Sleepless in Seattle and just be like cracking up the entire time. Does anybody even know what the hell Sleepless in Seattle is anymore? Jesus Christ, I'm dating myself. You know, British humor is very different. Dude, like Bollywood humor is very different. And that's why, like, when you watch a movie like Moulin Rouge, like the humor that they had in that was trying to emulate like Bollywood humor. And so it was like very different for people. But a lot of people approached that movie like, oh yeah, this is just a weird movie. So they were willing to accept it. But the thing is, we are all at this point where we can talk about comedy maturely. Even if you've got stand-up comedians, some stand-up comedians won't have any sort of vulgarity in their language. Like, one of my favorite examples is one of my favorite kinds of humor forever is when the performers break character because they can't stop laughing. Like when someone just starts laughing, it's one of the reasons why I love Whose Line Is It Anyway, because like when one guy, like when they just start losing it, like that's one of my absolute favorite kinds of When Harry Met Sally is Meg Ryan and Billy Crystal. So one of the most famous clips out there is Tim Conway and the dentist sketch from the Carol Burnett show. If you haven't watched this, it's brilliant. It's brilliant stuff. But Harvey Korman, I think, is the patient, and Tim Conway plays the dentist. And Tim Conway was so good at just doing his thing and never breaking, and like Harvey Korman couldn't hold it together. Like, he just starts laughing and he's like gone. And it's hilarious. You watch it, it's so great. And then you look at the YouTube comments in there and you'll always see these old people who are like, see, this is what comedy is about. You know, don't have to say any vulgar words. You don't have to swear. It's just whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I just look at this and I'm like, come on, like, there's no validity to this, right? Because sometimes vulgar humor is the goddamn funniest thing ever, you know? Like, sometimes there are so many examples of different kinds of humor that are just like the upper echelon of humor of that subgenre. But we're actually at a point where we acknowledge that. We talk about that. We know that there are different kinds of humor, and most people who understand comedy to the degree that all of us understand fighting games can talk about comedy in a way that it's not, oh, I didn't get that joke, it sucks. This is bad, it's stupid. Again, you go to YouTube enough, you see everyone do that all the time, but that's because they're idiots, right? They're idiots. And unfortunately, that's exactly what the fighting game community is doing. We're all idiots right now because whenever we talk about fighting games, there's no subtlety to the discourse. There's literally no subtlety to the discourse. We should be able to be like, oh, okay, I see. 2XKO is a very execution-heavy game. Lots of combos and stuff like that, and it's, you know, a very high mix-up kind of game. I am not good at that kind of game, but you do you. Like, that's fine. Like, it doesn't interest me. I don't like watching it because it just looks like a mess. But then you don't have to be like, what? I should play this fighting game because everyone's playing it and all fighting games are the same, right? If I'm good at this game, I should be able to get good at 2XKO. And you play it and it doesn't play anything like you want. And then you're like, this game sucks. There's no neutral. There's no subtlety. It's like a two-touch, you're dead game. I hate it. This game sucks. And I'm so sick of this discourse. And it's why we get so many people in the chat, you know, while Street Fighter 6 is on. Someone's like, Street Fighter 6 sucks. And you're like, why are you watching this? Why do you have to come in here and like talk about this, you know? And like I said, this goes in every direction. I don't say this as a old man saying like, oh, you know, this is why I get to hate Street Fighter 5 and Street Fighter 6. No, again, I have learned to enjoy and appreciate Street Fighter 5 and Street Fighter 6 so much more when I stopped trying to treat all fighting games the same. I got so much better. I knew what I was supposed to practice. I knew how I was supposed to play. I knew what the mindset that I have to have. And it goes both ways, right? So a lot of people will play these new games, and if they go back to the old games, they'll be like, this sucks. Like I said, I had a Street Fighter 4 player, and this is 4, mind you. It hadn't even gone more towards the mind side yet. But keep in mind, Street Fighter 4 is the start of Street Fighter's transition into whiff punish footsies, right? Third Strike was the first one that really was more about whiff punish footsies. But before Third Strike, if you look at the CVSs, the Alphas, the Street Fighter 2s, they're all hitbox fighters. Whiff punishing wasn't the main neutral thing. The main neutral thing was just hitting the opponent and having scary special moves that did chip damage and beating your move with my move that just had a hitbox in a certain way that it beat your button. So if I knew you were gonna crouching medium kick, I'll hit crouching strong and I just beat your button. I'm not whiff punishing it. I want you to kick into my button because my button beats your button. And the buttons are all so fast. Like I said, I had someone actually say to me one time after watching me commentate Super Turbo, they're like, why do people keep pressing buttons? Like in neutral, they're just like strong, 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 kick, kick, punch, chop, jab, jab, strong, strong. But like you watch Street Fighter 5 and Street Fighter 6 and people will be like, forward, forward. And I was like, because they're different games. Because in Street Fighter 2, you can't whiff punish that. I dare anybody to try to whiff punish Chun-Li's crouching medium kick. Chun-Li's crouching medium kick is as fast or faster than most light attacks in Street Fighter 4, 5, and 6. Like, it has less total frames than light attacks in 4, 5, and 6. Right? So, like, these games are all different. And so I had someone who was really good at Street Fighter 4 go and play Super Turbo, and they were like, why do people like this game? This game sucks. There's no footsies. I can't whiff punish anything. There's like no hit confirms. Like, you know, they were complaining about the game from their perspective. And as a fervent lover of Super Turbo, I saw that and I was like, you're not right, but you're not wrong, and you have every right to think this. Because like I said, you're not wrong. And that was it, right? Like, I wasn't gonna like all of a sudden jump in there and be like, you're an idiot. Super Turbo is the epitome of fundamentals and footsies. Like when people say that, like someone said that on Twitter, they were like, Super Turbo is like the epitome. That's like high-speed chess. And my response to him was, have you played Super Turbo? Like, high-speed chess? What? I don't remember the queen going, yo, all day, and then you just die. Like, I don't remember. Like, I famously, a long time ago, actually posted up, like, someone was like, yeah, this game is like chess. And I was like, Super Turbo is not like chess. It's like paintball. Like, you just shoot at people and hope you hit them, you know, and just try dodging all day. Like, literally all fighting games are just so different from each other. And I hate that, especially in the expert circle. So this is why I'm not saying this is just haters on Twitter, these people who just like to complain and talk. No, because this discourse is more common at the highest levels where everybody says, yeah, all fighting games are the same. You know? And you know who doesn't do this? You know who doesn't do this? You know who doesn't do this? Japan. Japan doesn't do this. Whenever you hear Daigo, and he has those videos where he's talking to Nauman or Nishken or Fudo or Tokido, either through Discord or they're just playing fighting games in the same room and they're talking to each other, you'll hear Daigo say things like, Street Fighter V is a very different game. I can't play it the same way that I played the old games. I had to learn how to play Street Fighter V. Not, I want to play my fighting game the way that I want to play my fighting game, and I can't do that in Street Fighter V, game sucks. They don't do that. You know what Japan does? They're like, well, this is not the game that we played before. It's a different game. How do we play this? How do we optimize ourselves in this? And the crazy thing, they have a term for trash games. Yeah, absolutely. But that's a different thing, right? Like, there's a difference between Street Fighter 6 and Hokuto no Ken, okay? And the other thing, too, is, like, do you see them complaining about Hokuto no Ken? Like, they play it. They just play it. They play X-Men versus Street Fighter tournaments, single elimination with infinites, right? Like they play the game that is presented to them. And so I actually talked to somebody who's in Japan, English speaker in Japan, who watches a lot of Japanese streams. And I was like, how often do they complain about the character or the game or talk about like, I wish it was like this? And he's like, I watch this person stream all the time. 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 They never do that. They don't do that. And sure, and exactly what Mr. Mixer is saying is where I'm leading this. What do you see in the Western FGC? I hate this because this is a neutral skip. I hate this because this character shouldn't have that. This character is overpowered. I don't think that this game, drive rushers are stupid. I think we should have this, like, this is a neutral skip, blah, blah. Look at this clip of this jury that did drive rush medium kick 4 times in a row to me, and I checked him the first 3 times, and then he killed me on the last one because I mistimed my button, and he did some crazy 50% damage combo to me. So you mean he played it right? You mean he played the game exactly as he should be playing it? Because clearly when you checked his drive rush, you're not doing enough damage to discourage him from doing that again. He's playing the game correctly, and you're trying to show this as an example of why this person is a scrub? Are they a scrub, or are you a scrub, right? Like, you're the one complaining because you want the game to play the way that you want the fighting game to play, not playing the game that we have been given, right? And one of the reasons why this is because we don't have good discourse on fighting games. We don't spend enough time going, look, this is what the game is. It's a different kind of game. We have to learn a different strategy. Let's fight this. We spend all of our time, oh God, this needs to be nerfed. This needs to be patched. We gotta change this. Throw loops, we gotta fix this. Oh my God, throw loops are they never taken away throw loops. I'm done playing this game. The game sucks, right? Like, we spend all of our time, complaining about these things, but we don't spend enough time understanding and figuring out how to beat those things. Now, obviously, look, there's a lot of things out there, right? Nemo, hates Itabashi. He hates grapplers to death and stuff. And they're always going to want them to be nerfed and stuff like that. Part of it is entertainment. Part of it is that they just really hate grapplers. I mean, they really do. But the thing about it is, like, they spend a lot less energy complaining and a lot more energy figuring out how to fight it. And, like, it's interesting because people have said if you watch Japan play Street Fighter 6, they don't check drive rushes as often. I'll have to go back and keep an eye on this. This is what I've heard other top players say. And they said that Japan has a philosophy that they don't think it's worth the risk. Because there's so many ways to blow you up for trying to check a drive rush, a lot of times they just don't think it's worth the risk. They'll just block it, understand that you're in a cooldown for 5 seconds now, so you can't gain much drive gauge, and they'll just take their chances to survive after blocking it, or they just try to not be there, Marvel style, right? They jump away, drive rush, and now you don't have to deal with it anymore. So, it's just, we're not accepting enough that all the fighting games are different. And the reason why I have reached this position is because I have played so many goddamn fighting games. And I have seen and experienced so many situations where I'm like, this is really dumb. this fighting game sucks. And then it turns out to be like a really cool strategy. Like MK9, like Scorpion does, like, what was it? Like, it was like 1-1-2, right? Oh yeah, by the way, those are the buttons, not the directions, but you do 1-1-2 or 1-1-1 or whatever. And it's pow, pow, pow. And if you actually like look at the frame data, the third one is like plus 45 or something ridiculously stupid like that, right? And so if you go 1-1-1 and cancel into the spear, the enemy can block. And you're like, what the hell? Like, why can he block that? Why? That's so dumb, right? Like, why am I plus 45, but the spear has the startup of like 10, and he can block my spear? Like, this is the worst program fighting game in the world. This is really stupid. So you had to do 1-1 into spear because you had to make sure that the thing that you canceled was within the chain so that it knew to give them the hit stun that could actually be comboed out of. But if you actually finish with 1-1-1, it was a certain combo reel that basically they were stuck reeling, but they could block during it, right? And I was like, this is so dumb. But then you started seeing players that would do like 1-1-1 and then jump. And now the guy's stuck doing this. So instead of doing 1-1 in the spear and doing all this combo, they purposely ended their combo with 1-1-1, put them in that stance, and they jump, and they would get like half of their jump for free because the enemy is like falling backwards. And I saw that, I was like, that's kind of sick. I was like, wait, you're using the thing that I said was really stupid, and how can you program a game like this is really dumb? And you've turned it into a tactic. You've turned it into something that is a really, really cool strategy. And I was like, man, like, I was wrong. I was wrong when I said that this is dumb and stupid and didn't make any sense, right? And this has just been happening for decades. Every time I think, you know, oh, this is dumb, but then it turns out it's just fine, you know? When MVC2 first came out, I was like, this is not going to be a competitive game at all. It's got stupid infinites, and then, you know, if I rocket punch you from a screen away, Cable can just air hyper viper beam me to death. Well, clearly Sentinel sucks, and clearly this game is just not going to be competitive. And how right about that was I? You know, how right about that was I? So, so again, like, no, people don't think every game is different. That's the problem. Like, they'll tell you, like, yeah, it plays differently. And I've had this argument with somebody. They're like, well, this game and this game are completely different games. You have to have, like, completely different strategies and everything like that. And I was like, but you can approach them with a similar mindset, which is, of course, the heart mindset, which is what I was talking about. And the argument to me was like, no, these are completely different mindsets. And I'm like, yes, you're right, because I will say the same thing about Alpha, Alpha 2, Alpha 3. You play those games very, very differently. However, they're still both heart games. You can approach them, and a certain mindset will still apply to those games better as a pair than, say, Street Fighter 2 and Street Fighter 5. Right? So a lot of people, when I talk about this, they don't understand the macro level at which I am talking about this, right? Like, I'm not talking about like the super detailed in-game mechanics. Oh, well, Street Fighter 5 is more footsie neutral oriented because we didn't have drive rush and da-da-da-da. And no, that's not what I'm talking about. Like, it's not what I'm talking about, right? I'm not talking about the minutia of details. I'm talking about how you want to approach the game, how you learn the game, what type of player this game, you know, kind of appeals to more. And if you start to understand that, then you can dig down to a deeper level and approach the mechanics. You can discuss the mechanics in a way that removes your own personal biases and your emotions and your desire for what the game is supposed to play like. You can remove that and appreciate and play the game from a very just direct competitive, like, this is what I have to do to win. Because I swear, like, you see a lot of Japanese players, they're not worried about using top tier, right? Like, they'll just be like, well, Mai's in the game, let's all play Mai, right? And you see in the Western world, we're like, Mai is really annoying, she's broken, I hate this character, she carries everybody, and so, like, nobody plays her. Like, who are our top Mais in the Western world right now, right? Like, Kills You in Europe, maybe Knuckle do now because he's learning Mai at this point, but, like, where's all our Mai players? Like, where are all of our Mai players? SF4 people wanted SF5 to be more like SF4. Yep. And SF5 players wanted SF6 to be more like that. Yep. I always give the example when I played Gutex in Street Fighter 4. He was like, man, you don't ever jump at me. Why aren't you ever jumping at me? I was like, because I came from Street Fighter 2. Right? And so, you know, even when Gutex went from 3 to, hey, thank you for the raid, Chanchai. Woohoo, what's up? Like, if you... that raid completely ADHD'd my brain right there. I don't even... Oh, that's right. Like, yeah, so the whole Street Fighter 4, the 3 to 4, if you came from 3 where people jumped all the time, you were able to take advantage of them that way in Street Fighter 4. But then as soon as, you know, early on, you fought someone who didn't jump, you're like, wait, what? This, what? Like, how I can't beat them the same way that I beat everybody else all the time, right? Because people take that. And you know, I said this to Chris CCH, and I said this to Ryan LV. Both of them, you know, were very new, became top players late in that game's life cycle. Ryan LV became the best MVC3 player at the end. Chris CCH became a very strong Street Fighter 5 player at the end. And the next game was coming out, and so I had my advice to both of them. Because they both were wanting to be sponsored. They wanted to keep doing the esports stuff. Unfortunately, MVCI just did nothing. I would love it if Ryan LV came back for some 2XKO. I think that would be sick, to be honest with you. But my advice to both of those players, I was like, look, I know you guys want to succeed in the next game. You want to stay sponsored. You don't want to do all this stuff. My piece of advice to you guys is because this is the first time you're going to go through the transition. I said the next game isn't going to play like anything you want it to play like. And it's not going to play like how you want it to play. No matter how much you want it to play like the previous game, it's not going to play like it. And you're going to have to accept that. And you're going to have to play in that environment if you want to keep doing this, right? Because the trap that everybody falls into is that the new game isn't the old game. And as a result, they don't move on because they're so stuck in their idea of what a fighting game should play like. You tell any Street Fighter 4 player that all the Street Fighter 5 fans are like, Street Fighter 5 is the fundamental footsie Street Fighter game right now. All the Street Fighter 4 players will laugh because they hate the neutral in that game. We got stubby normals everywhere, and you get a V trigger, and then all of a sudden I can do a heavy kick V trigger into plus frames, and you die. You know, like, you tell anybody who are big Street Fighter 4 fans that Street Fighter 5 players think that Street Fighter 5 is the epitome of footsies. Every player, their game is the epitome of footsies. It just is. When Street Fighter 7 comes out, we're going to be mad that Drive Rush doesn't exist, and we're going to be like, this is dumb. You can't do anything, right? Like, defense is so easy. This is so stupid, right? Like, this is just how it is, right? People want the game to play the way they want it to play. And again, I feel like a lot of this is because the Western world's discourse is very flawed. We don't talk about fighting games intelligently enough. I really just don't think we talk about fighting games intelligently enough. We all keep promoting this idea because I had this conversation with a bunch of people, top players and stuff. They're like, no, all fighting games are the same. If you're good at one fighting game, you would play another fighting game, and even though what makes you good in that game would be different, because you're good at game A, you have the ability to learn what you need to get good at in game B and be a top player there. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's true. Because I don't think fighting games are similar enough between each other that that's actually an objective truth. I don't think that's an objective truth. I think if you're really good at one Street Fighter, doesn't mean you can jump to another completely different Street Fighter and be one of the top players. That was the case with Street Fighter 3 forever. All the best players at Third Strike were not the best players at Alpha or Street Fighter 2. And all the best players who were of Street Fighter 2 and like the Alpha games were not the best players at Third Strike. They didn't overlap very much. I think the closest might be, I don't know, like Justin. Oh, okay, Valle. Yeah, it has to be like Justin, Valle. It has to be like those guys, right? It clearly has to be like those guys. So, fundamentals carry over. Absolutely, fundamentals carry over. But what is fundamentals? What are fundamentals? I'll tell you, the fundamentals that you have in Super Turbo are certainly not the same fundamentals you have in Third Strike, are certainly not the same fundamentals that you have in MVC2. Now, the concepts of like, okay, well, you know, you need to open your opponent up because it's mix-ups, right? The way that you beat your opponent is you gotta mix them up. You got to hit them with, you know, make them guess whether they have to block left or right or high or low. That's how you open. No, no. Have you seen Osagat's strategy in Super Turbo? Do you know what his strategy was? He didn't have any mix-ups. Tiger, 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 tiger. If you couldn't beat that, that was it. If Ryu ever DP'd you out of the air in Super Turbo, he didn't go for a cross-up. He didn't go for a meaty. He backed off and threw a meaty fireball. There was no mix-up. He was just like, you know what? My chip damage is scary enough in this game that I'm just going to rely on chip damage to kill you. I don't have to worry about mixing you up at all. I'm just going to kill you through chip damage. That's it. I'm gonna make you have to be like, crap, I can't block this forever because I will die. I need to figure out how to navigate these fireballs in a non-obvious way so that I can beat you. But Ryu and Dulcim and Sagat, they didn't care. They just chucked fireballs. Guile just chucked fireballs. They didn't care about mix-up. Like someone asked me one time, they were like, okay, well in Super Turbo, like, how does the, how do people get out of the strike throw mix-up in Super Turbo? And I was like, what strike throw mix-up? And they're like, that's impossible. Like, all fighting games have strike throw mix-ups. And I was like, throws are one frame. If you're -1, I throw you. What strike throw mix-up is there? There is no strike throw mix-up. Literally none. Literally none. There is no strike throw mix-up in Super Turbo. It doesn't exist. And you know what else doesn't exist? You know what else doesn't exist? And this is one of the changes that nobody talks about, And it's one of the most important changes, and I've talked about input buffer, and this is not input buffer, although it is the result of input buffer. In Street Fighter 4, in Super Turbo, in Alpha 2, in CVS 2, in all of these games, if you come at me and you throw a melee attack on me that doesn't hit low, just for the sake of this argument, that doesn't hit low, and I get up off the ground and I hold back on the controller and I try to throw you with a 1-button throw, or maybe even a 2-button throw, Alpha 3. If I try to throw you, or I try to jab, or I try to do anything, I cannot be hit. Period. It's not possible. One of the reasons why Street Fighter V and Street Fighter VI are so goddamn scary is because if I put a melee attack on you and you press a button, you get hit. Why? Because you have input buffer now. So the game's like, you press a button, you press a button. Oh, he did press this button last frame, so as soon as you get up, I can make you start the attack on the first frame you're up. You get hit. But in all the old games, you had to be up for 1 frame to press the button to have it register for you to do an attack. So if you get up and press that button on that frame while the melee is on you, they're gonna be like, you press the button but you're holding back, I'm gonna make you block. You cannot get yourself intentionally hit by a melee by pressing buttons if you're holding back. And it changes the way the game is played entirely. Because defense is so much stronger that way. You won't get killed for necessarily mashing buttons anymore. In Street Fighter 4, if someone came up to you and did a melee attack and you woke up mashing jab, you wouldn't get hit. And that completely changes the attack throw shimmy game. The reason why you do attack as a melee is to beat people mashing buttons, right? James, it's not a fair comparison. Sure, just because you're the #1 in fighting game doesn't mean you're automatically going to be #1 in the sequel. But if you hit S rank before, that means your brain's wired to handle stuff like 99.99% of players can't even process. I feel like that's a reference to something that I spoke about a while ago. So, please give me a little bit more of the context, Golgoth. It could just be a delay on YouTube or on Twitch or something like that. I apologize because I don't feel like that's what I'm talking about right now. And again, I think the games are different enough a lot of the times that if you can hit S rank in one game, it doesn't mean you can hit S rank in another game. Because you know, you're saying your brain's wired to handle stuff that like 99.99% of players can't even process. Dude, like I said, like, the players who are good definitely have a very strong chance to be good at other fighting games. They are going to be predisposed to being able to learn the other fighting games better because they are analytical, and that they will be able to approach it from a different point of view if they so desire to. But they might not get to that point because they might not think the game is fun. There are a lot of top players from the old days that when Street Fighter V first came out, they're like, finally, because this game is not Street Fighter 4. Street Fighter 4 is dumb. Street Fighter V is more about footsies and all this stuff, so say the devs. So now you'll see what real Street Fighter is like. And then they just couldn't succeed in that game. And why? It's because, again, they kept approaching it from that standpoint that the game didn't play the way they wanted it to play, so they wouldn't learn it. And so they never even gave themselves the chance to become good in those games. Why? Because we don't talk about enough that all the fighting games are different. And that when you approach the game, when you approach a new game, you have to approach it with a completely different mindset. You have to approach it with a completely different mindset. Yeah, Nuki, I always use that example. Daigo said it in his own stream. He's like, Nuki hates 5. He even says he doesn't really like Street Fighter 4. He's like, he's not really good at those games. He's like, is Nuki a bad fighting game player? No. He was like, he's still one of the best fighting game players. It's just that 5 is a different game. It requires a lot more studying. Like, Daigo literally says this. He's like, the game requires more studying, and Nuki is lazy and doesn't want to study. But when he plays a lot of the older fighting games, which required way less studying, like, you can't beat him. Like, he's one of the best. Right? But Nuki, when he plays 5 and 6, and see, he's at least smart enough just to be like, you know what, this is not my style, so I'm just done. You know, like, I'm not even gonna try playing this, right? It is true for almost everything in life because humans don't like changes. However, this is literally for a lot of these top players and the ones that I'm, you know, kind of critiquing a little bit more because, you know, they complain about these games a lot. This is their job. Right? Like, this is their job. If it's just a casual player, if you play 6 and you're like, this is not for me, yeah, go. Like, you don't have to play it. And I'm not going to yell at you for not playing it. I'm going to be like, whatever. I'm going to yell at you if you say the game sucks because I can't do the things that I want to do. I will tell you you're wrong about that. It's just the game doesn't play the way you want it to play. But that's about it, right? But, you know, for a lot of the people out there who are just like, Capcom needs to nerf this. They need to change this. They need to fix this. They need to do this. This is broken. This is broken. Maya's too strong. Like, a lot of that comes from the fact that we're not approaching fighting games in an intelligent way. We keep approaching them like the things that rewarded me in the game that I'm good at should reward me in this other game. That's where the discourse is. The things that rewarded me in my favorite game should reward me in all the fighting games. And it's not that blatant, like, obviously people are gonna be like, I suck at tag fighters, you know, et cetera, et cetera. But in general, that's how I feel like a lot of the Western discourse of fighting games is. The things that I like about fighting games, the things that made me successful in a certain game, which obviously, because I'm successful in it, it is the most skillful game out there. And, you know, my favorite things are rewarded in that game. Every fighting game should be rewarding that. And like I said, it's not as blatant that everybody, like, literally says that. But that's where a lot of the discourse goes to when we talk about patches, or we talk about this character too strong, or this game doesn't play like this. Just get rid of drive rushes. Right? Like, you know, you'll see people say that, like, just get rid of drive rushes, the game will be way better. Will it? Right? I mean, like, and then that's why, like, I get frustrated when people post up those clips all the time. Look at this scrub. Like, I realized this when I was playing Street Fighter V. Because remember, Street Fighter V has really, really, really shitty rollback netcode when it first came out, remember? And I would fight these Charlies, these Nashes online. And I don't know what it was, but like every one of these Nashes had the worst netcode. Like they had the worst internet ever. And it would be so choppy. And they would just do moonsault slashes everywhere and do all this completely unsafe stuff. And you're just like, you're a scrub. You know, your internet is bad. And so you can get away with all these dumb things and no. No. That Nash's player's goal is to win and to keep doing what's letting him win. Maybe he doesn't know what better netcode is like, but this strategy is obviously allowing him to continue to win because that's the environment that he's playing in. He's not knowingly being like, haha, my internet sucks, let me do scrub strategies. No, he's continuing to do the things that have been winning him matches. He's playing the game right. He's not playing the game wrong. He's playing a game correctly that has bad netcode, and he's playing online. If he goes offline, he's gonna get his ass whooped, and then he'll probably have to be like, shit, well, what the hell? But honestly, he's playing the game right. Because moonsault slashing all over the place and teleporting netcode is gonna make you win. And his goal, just like everybody else, is to raise up in rank. And if that's working, why should he learn other things for Nash? Right? And that's the thing. They don't know it's an online gimmick. They might not know it's an online gimmick. They're just new. And they're playing, and they don't understand. Maybe they just think that's how it looks with the rollback. They don't know, right? Or some people just, that's just how it is that they play. And they don't know that they're relying on online gimmicks. They're just doing what wins, right? So are they playing like scrubs? Or are they actually playing fighting games right? I would argue that they're playing fighting games right. When the game's your job, whining about the game kind of comes with the territory. That's not even special. You see that in literally every line of work. I'm a nurse, and bro, there's not a single day my coworkers aren't complaining about the job. It's just how it goes. Right. But you do it. And the discourse also came up recently that people are like, how come the Japanese are successful so well? And how come they can train new players so well? And why do they keep getting these new players coming in that are so strong and da-da-da-da? I think it was Bolt Strike who asked that online, or was it, no, it was it PAX? Might have been PAX that asked that. And that's where I did the research, and I was like, yeah, apparently like the Japanese players don't complain about things as much. They don't spend as much of their energy complaining about things. And they approach the game and like, this is the way the game plays. Whether I like this or not, this is the way the game plays. So I will play the game that has been presented to me. And I just feel like a lot of people in the Western scene don't do that. I really honestly feel like that there is a lot more happening in the Western scene where we're super resistant to that, and we want it to be something that we like more so than, hey, I might like this game if I just learn to play it that way. And again, some of these top players, obviously, they're really good at Street Fighter 6. I'm not saying they're bad at it and they're not having success or anything like that. But again, like, there's just a different mentality. If you get hit by something that you think is dumb, it's just like, God damn it, I got hit by this stupid thing again. Ugh. But if like you've just accepted that's part of the game, and like I said, some people say in Japan they don't try to check drive rushes. Someone will try to check a drive rush and get hit by something because they mistimed it wrong and be like, God damn, see, this is why it's so stupid. But like if you're like, well, it's too risky, I'm not even gonna try, so I'm not gonna do anything. Like there's a different attitude between like I should be rewarded for checking their drive rush versus, you know what, this is not worth the risk in the environment that the game exists in, so I won't try, right? I had trouble beating someone in one game. I can't remember what it was because every time I tried to do meaty stuff, I would just lose all the time. Oh, that's right, I was playing Third Strike with my friend who would never stop guest pairing on his wake up. And I wasn't good enough at Third Strike to blow him up for that. And so every time I tried to do meaty attacks or whatever, he would just parry it and I'd lose. And so I eventually started beating him by knocking him down and then running away. I knocked him down, and I purposefully did not attack him on his wake up because I could beat him in neutral better. I just didn't want to give him that opportunity to beat me with a lucky parry. So I didn't do meaties at all. I like knock him down. I was like backdash. Let him get up, neutral time. Like, that's the thing, right? Like, if I came from Super Turbo where all I did was meaties and meaties are so strong and I come to third strike and I'm like, this is dumb. Parrying is stupid because it ruins meaties. Like, if you get guest parried on your meaty, you're just going to be like, so dumb. This is so dumb. But if I'm like, you know what? I'm going to play the game the way that, you know, like, the game is, like, this is the game that's presented to me. You can enjoy the game a lot more, honestly. Yeah, Third Strike is not much of a Street Fighter game. That was the argument a long time ago. Everybody used to say that. Third Strike is the least Street Fighter game out of all the Street Fighters. People would say that all the time. I was unaware of the FGC until I got a job that allowed me to move out of my parents' house with their trashy internet. I got better internet, started looking at fighting games with my better internet, and totally stumbled onto the FGC and committed to fighting games at the tail end of the closure of Street Fighter V. That's cool. The game is only consistent when I win every time. It's random when I lose, yes. And then Tech Axe says, I agree that each fighting game should be taken in good faith on its own terms. And I get that for the pros, it's a job. But my question is, what should dictate the game the community moves onto or not? Should it be player-driven or company-driven? Case study. Smash players stuck with Melee for like 200 years. In a rhetorical situation when there's a groundswell sentiment that the new game, let's say Street Fighter 12, is dookie, then couldn't it be fair to say the community has spoken? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, look what's happening to Tekken 8 right now, right? Like, Tekken 8, I think MK1 is kind of experiencing a lot of this, where the scene themselves are not on board with it, right? If a game sucks, it sucks. Street Fighter V, like, absolutely decimated a lot of the goodwill and momentum and fan base that Street Fighter 4 had built towards the end. Street Fighter 5 had 7,000 people sign up for EVO the first year because they signed up before the game came out. I can guarantee you the number of players in that game dropped really hard the next year. And there was a lot of DQs that first year too. Street Fighter 6 is not experiencing this at all. At all. So, right, Third Strike promotes doing things you should never do in other Street Fighter games. Like I said, you can jump in Third Strike. You're actually allowed to jump. And so, like, again, like, I don't think, and this is why I want to bring up this conversation. Again, this is how I see things. Because one, I'm old. And two, I've been around for a while. And I view the fighting game community very differently. But maybe everything I'm saying is absolute, total, just nonsense, garbage, and has no application at all whatsoever. I'd like to be proven wrong. I'd like to be proven wrong, but this is what I see. And again, I base a lot of these things that I say off of the patterns that I see. You know, when I talk about the heart-mind stuff and people are like, James, there's no such thing. They're all the same, right? Modern players are just better. And I'm like, what about Sam Show, top 8, first year at EVO? What about Fatal Fury, City of the Wolves? All the same players are still really good. Like, all the old great players in Tekken are still good at Tekken. You know, through Tekken 7. And before Strive, all the old Guilty Gear players were still good, even in Exert. You know, like, if the game doesn't significantly change, like, the old players can survive, right? So, like, the reason why they have a harder time in, like, 5 and 6 for Street Fighter is because it's a different game. You know, and we see this all the time. When you have a game like Fatal Fury, that is now more heart-based than mind-based. It's all the old people who are doing well. You know, and that's just the thing, right? Like, there's so much evidence, and there's so much to back this up. The only anomaly is Japan. Because Japan has a lot of old people winning and a lot of young people winning. But like I said, that's because they approach the games and play the game for what the game gives them to play, as opposed to just constantly wishing that they could play the game that they want to play, fighting games. So, yeah. In any case, at this point in time, I think I'm just going to be arguing in circles. And again, I know a lot of people do not agree with this at all. And I know a lot of people out there who would be super mad at me even for continuing to promote this concept that, yeah, fighting games are really different from each other. And that, no, being good at one fighting game doesn't mean you're good at another fighting game. You know, a lot of people don't see it that way. And I know that I'm very unique in this, but I'm also in a unique position, and I'm one of the old people I'm one of the only people that's this old and has been playing since the original Street Fighter II and is still in the scene, right? I mean, who else can you even name that's still this involved in the FGC that was there playing the original Street Fighter II? Like, you could argue Tom and Tony Cannon, but that's because they're making their own fighting game. They're not really playing or commentating, you know, as much and stuff like that. So, like, I don't know if there is anybody else that's kind of in the position that I'm in. And because of that, I see it from a different way. And it sucks because I can't convince other people necessarily of my argument who don't agree with me, because the only thing I can really say is you'll understand when you get older. You'll understand when you get older, you know. Again, Vi wasn't there in the original Street Fighter II. So no, Vi doesn't count. So you said not original Street Fighter II, yeah. Like Jason Cole, I saw him at EVO, but I don't think he's playing a lot right now. And that's the thing, right? But that's the thing, Tech Axe. There are people out there who absolutely think I'm crazy. And by spouting this, quote, nonsense, I'm showing that I truly just don't understand fighting games. That all fighting games are the same. And that if you believe that they are different, then you don't understand fighting games. And I'm not going to begrudge them of that opinion, because I'm sure everything that they've lived up to that point kind of promotes that concept as well for them. So again, like, I'm less presenting this viewpoint as a means to tell you guys you are all fucking up and that you're wrong and that you're stupid. I may present it that way because it's just, I'm passionate and I get emotional. But I think it's important that we just start thinking this way at all. Like, people just need to start thinking this way. People need to think about how fighting games are different and how... Because the thing about it is, this expands past the players who are doing this for a job. This, eventually, if we start talking about fighting games in a more nuanced way, it will get to the viewers. Because then you can just be like, oh yeah, I don't enjoy watching this game because I'm just not a fan of these long combos and two-touch death kind of thing. It's just not my style of fighting game. But right now, the common discourse is, I can't win in this game. It sucks. I hate this game. This game is stupid. And even if you don't think that, like, let's say you're a Street Fighter 6 player, you kind of like Tekken, And then you're in the chat, and some Tekken player comes in and is like, God, Street Fighter is so dumb. Street Fighter 6 is the worst game ever because blah, 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 blah. And this guy who, and the guy's like, Tekken is much better because blah, 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 blah. And you might not be a person who hates Tekken at all, but you'll be like upset because someone's insulting the game that you do enjoy the most. Like if they're saying that Street Fighter 6 is scrub friendly and that's your favorite fighting game, you're insulting that person, right? And so they'll be like, well, no, because Tekken is stupid because look at this. And blah, blah, and like all of a sudden, like you're creating the divide, right? Because we're at that point where this game is either the honest game and we love it and everything else sucks and is bad, right? As opposed to, oh, you know what? I like this kind of fighting game and this is not it for me. So it's not one that I enjoy as much. And yeah, it's hard to ask the internet to go down that path. It's never gonna happen completely. But I think just having that kind of discussion is good. Because, look at how it's succeeding in Japan. The fact that the Japanese players are not complaining about the game as much, all the fans that watch see fighting game players playing the game competitively and enjoying it and giving them hype matches. Whereas in the West, we'll all go follow all of our favorite players and all they do is complain about the game. And so if you're having trouble with the game, now you can be like, well, pro player A said this and you know what? He's right. It sucks. That's why I can't win. It drives narratives and it drives discourse. So I mean, everybody complained about Street Fighter V. Holy crap, that game was complained about a lot. So, Hekaton, you're late. I did do the entire movie analogy. However, it's not, I don't like horror movies, or I like horror movies. I compared it to comedy. Because within comedy, you can like romantic comedies, you can like British humor, you can like scatological humor, you can like slapstick, you can like puns, you can like sarcastic humor, you can like mean, cruel humor, etc., etc. And so if you see a movie made by the creators of Jackass, you'll probably be like, well, that comedy's not for me. Even though your favorite genre of movies is comedies, you'll be like, I'm probably not going to enjoy that. And then, like, someone will recommend, like, oh, this is a very Monty Python-esque comedy. And you're like, okay, I'll watch that, right? But there's not this pressure to be like, you have to watch all the comedies like there is in the fighting game. Like, it's just like, you play fighting, like, if you like this fighting game, you should like that fighting game. If you're good at this one, you should be good at this one. So no one goes like, well, if you like Jackass, you should like, like I said, Sleepless in Seattle, right? Like that's just, it doesn't exist that way. And we could do the same thing with horror, right? Because there's gore porn, there's torture porn horror films. There's horror films that are just like whatever. There are horror films that are really psychological. There are horror films that are, there's all sorts of different horror films out there. And just because you like one of those horror films doesn't mean you like all of them. You could totally be a fan of like the Conjuring series and then just be like, I hate the Saw movies because I don't like that kind of torture porn kind of horror movie style. And that's totally legit. But we don't have that kind of conversation in the fighting game community. And that's the thing that drives me nuts. Right. I mean, there's a lot of it is that too, Chris Joubert. The FGC is too broad of a term. That's why there's no FPS community, MOBA community. Yeah, they separate themselves, right? Like literally there's, hey, I play Heroes of the Storm. Hey, I play Dota. I play League of Legends. It's not the MOBA community. It's literally like, yeah, we play our own game. And the FGC does this the very unique thing of we all try to survive under one umbrella. But that's why I keep talking about this. This is why I think it's important that we do. And I'm not trying to separate us. I'm just saying that I just feel like we need to discuss fighting games more intelligently and improve the discourse at which we talk about fighting games. Because I really feel like the discourse that we have about fighting games sucks right now. I think it sucks. I really do. Because I've seen this so many times. And like I said, this came about because of the Numpad notation thing that cropped up again on Twitter. Because I'm seeing the same thing again. No, Numpad notation's better. No, I hate Numpad notation. This notation's better. No, this one, but this one's better. Like, maybe there's no answer. Maybe it's because different people think differently and they absorb information differently. Maybe, I mean, again, when that rant I had where I was like, I don't process numbers as a translation thing. So when I see a bunch of numbers in a row, I can't see them as arrows and it looks crazy to me. So I stopped trying. And I had a bunch of people in my chat that were like, yes, it's exactly how I feel. And then you got all the Numpad notation people. It's easy. It takes 5 minutes to learn. No problem. Like, how are you not learning this? If you can't learn this in 5 minutes, you're just dumb. You know, and it's just like, stop. Like, this is not how it works, man. 2XKO is still a bad name. It's still a bad name. It really is still a bad name. Anyways, okay, so that's enough about this topic here. I'm really curious what everybody's take on this is, what their opinions on this are, you know, and you know, if you like, let me know if you feel like there is merit in what I'm saying, because I've promoted this a lot, and a lot of the players who have been watching me for years and who I talk to a lot, you know, when I promote this and when I tell them about this, they start to understand fighting games differently and they start appreciating games in different ways, you know, because like, I'll be like, oh, you're a heart player, you'll enjoy this. And they try it and they're like, wow, James, you're right. I totally love this game. You know, like like, I feel like it's such an important conversation and I feel like it makes us all understand, learn, and appreciate fighting games better and in a more mature fashion where we can actually talk about it a little bit more maturely. So, well, that's exactly what 2XKO means, JNV. If you actually kill both characters at the same time, the screen shows 2XKO on the screen. It actually flashes 2XKO on the screen if you kill both of the characters. So that's basically what the name means. It's like, you have to kill you have to KO both of their characters. So it's a 2XKO kind of thing. And Calnetto, I always said that I just wanted to call it Runeterra Fighters Online League. Wait, no, is that right? No, Runeterra Online Fighters League is what I wanted to call it. I want to call it Runeterra Online Fighters League. So that way, the main game is LOL, is LOL, and their fighting game is Roffle, ROFL, right? So they have LOL and Roffle as their main game, you know, as two games. So that's what I always wanted to call it. So, I mean, double KO. I think it's funny that in Spain, they have to call the game Dos Equis. I think that's hilarious. Yeah, and then make another game that's LMAO. Yeah, like, seriously, I think it would just be hilarious, dude. I think that would be amazing. Yeah, let me know what your guys' thoughts are in the comments below. And for those of you here on streaming, I will see if I can get into this topic, the second topic over here. I'm curious to see if I can do tech stuff during like Tuesday show, or if I should save it for other stuff. But for those of you on YouTube, I hope you have enjoyed this conversation. Like I said, I'm not trying to insult anybody. I know people are going to be like, yo, pro player, listen to this. James is calling you an idiot. No, I'm not calling you an idiot. I just want to make people think about this differently. And maybe there is merit to what I'm saying. And if there is, it'd be really cool if we can actually like mature and grow when it comes to talking about fighting games. So I hope you guys did enjoy this. And again, I like to bring up these very interesting topics, and that is because this is the best FGC podcast on the planet. And the day that this podcast graced your ears was the most important day of your life. But for me,
it was Tuesday.
I am not actually done. Let's go back to main over here. Changing people's minds and opinions, a losing battle. Someone has to start somewhere. Someone has to start. It's not, I don't expect to change people's minds. But if we can get the conversation started, hopefully it can get to that point in the future, is all it is. So, that's all it really comes down to. It's all. So, do you guys want me to talk about this, or would it be better if I could just, because I'm hot, I'm sweaty, and I'm tired. Like, I don't know if I want to do this, because I really want to talk about, because I hate the fact that I don't think a lot of people know the difference between crosscuts and autocorrects. I'll ask you guys in the chat, how many of you have just up to this point thought that crosscuts and autocorrects were essentially the same thing and just had two different names? Because I've heard people use them interchangeably. And I've seen people, for example, do the DP, like someone jumps and they DP the wrong direction, like they DP this way instead of turning around. And I've seen some commentators be like, oh, he missed the crosscut. And I'm like, no, because that won't ever happen from a crosscut. That'll never happen. So they're two very different strategies. And so I just wanted to talk about that, you know, just have like a nice little tech video, nothing explained, nothing crazy, just be like, do you want to know what the difference between crosscut and autocorrect is? Well, this is the difference here, and this is why it's really, really good. Because I've seen people like say like, can you crosscut like Kimberly's Tatsu? And I'm like, no, you can't. You can't crosscut it. You can autocorrect it, can't crosscut it. You've never heard these terms before, Billy Badass. Okay. Look, I'll do the easy version here, and I'll do a more technical version another day because I'm just tired and I'm hot and I'm sweaty and I feel really gross and all this stuff. So let's use Ken because he's always going to be the best example of this. And let's just have him fight Ryu because Ryu is his rival here. Ouch! Sorry, I hope that wasn't too loud. Apologies. It was loud on my end. So why even bother trying to convince somebody that your take is somehow better than theirs? Because there's a lot of people out there who actually, you know, aren't steadfastly believing in one thing. There are people out there that'll be like, wow, I never thought of that. That's interesting. Or maybe another top player who hears it and he's be like, that's interesting because the way James categorizes these games explains exactly why I don't like these games, but I really love these games. You know, you can, again, the internet makes it so that nobody ever wants to change their mind. Nobody ever wants to admit they're wrong. So it's hard to understand why anybody would present any counter argument because nobody's ever going to change their mind. The truth is, you know, obviously not that. And that there will be some people who can actually change their mind on stuff. And so as long as you can affect those guys, I think that's important. I think that's important. Oh, thank you for the subscription, White Lens. Again, it's not to convince people they're wrong and change their opinion. It's for the person that didn't know and to inform them instead of letting them believe the loud people yelling. And another one too, and another way to look at it as well is that, you know, even if you get them to think about it a little bit, that's good. That's good. Well, the problem with it is, Gaptraf, the problem with it is, so my issue is that folks want to win the argument instead of furthering the discussion of topics. That's actually not the case right now, is that folks don't want to lose the argument. And that's where most of social media is destroying society right now, is that we have made it now so that the worst thing you could possibly be is wrong. Like, nobody wants to be wrong. Why do you think that every time someone's like, I never thought of it that way, I'll do more research, that you always get like one or two random person responding to them being like, look, I have no like opinion, or like I have no, like I didn't want to get in this, but I just want to say thank you for being open and changing your mind. Like, it's literally because you can't be wrong anymore. This is the worst thing, is to be wrong. So if anybody ever proves you're wrong, you know, you either ghost them, block them, disappear, or just keep doubling down on your opinion and trying to find somebody else who can argue your opinion and parrot them. Nobody, like, the worst thing in the world right now is not being a bigot, is not being a racist, is not being super woke, is not being a Nazi, is not the worst thing you can possibly be in the world in today's society is wrong. And that's why we're in this mess that we're in. But now you're basically streaming when I'm usually at work. I always catch errors and Sage and can stream more Euro-friendly hours. I mean, I've started streaming later because I'm just more consistent and I have the ability to stream at this time a little bit better than earlier times. I'm really bad at doing early streams because if I do early streams, I'm gonna spend the entire time going, oh, sorry, I'm gonna delay it for an hour. I'm gonna delay the start for another hour. Oh, sorry guys, something came up. I'm gonna delay the start for another. So like, this is actually the easiest time for me to stream, unfortunately. So just as a really quick explanation of what the difference is, who was it that said that they had never heard of the terms before? Billy Badass has never heard of this term. So one of the things that you will always see in high-level Street Fighter these days is when people get knocked down in the corner. Oops, they try to get out of the corner, and you'll see somebody DP them like that, right? So you'll see someone be like, oh, so they're trying to get out of the corner, but you know what? They got out, but they didn't get out for free. They took a little bit of damage, right? And what you'll actually hear from a lot of people, they're like, oh, he got him with the autocorrect, or he got him with the crosscut, right? That is the technique described on how to get your DP the other direction. And there's two different ways to do this. And there's not really particularly one advantage to the other, because if you mess up on either of them, you die. But the difference really comes down to the timing in which you want to implement the DP. So autocorrect basically means that is exactly what it sounds like, is that the game is correcting it for you. Is the game is correcting which direction you will DP for you. So how do you do that, right? Well, if Ryu is jumping over me over here, what I can actually do is I can input the DP motion, forward, down, down, forward, or whatever bastardized version works in Street Fighter 6 these days. I can hit that direction, wait until Ryu passes over me, and then press light punch. So what the game will actually detect is forward, down, down, forward, and when you jump over, the game is not detecting right, down, down, right. It detected forward, down, forward. So when I hit the button after my character turns around, it's gonna go, oh, you did a DP, and it's gonna make your DP, and it's gonna make your DP the correct direction. That is an autocorrect. So I'm gonna do DP. Oops, I did that too early there. Like that. So again, if you look carefully, I definitely DP'd facing right, and I just waited till Ryu passed over me to press the light button, and now the DP will go the correct distance for me, the correct direction for me. That is what an autocorrect is. So I could do the same thing with anything. I could do the same thing with Fireball if I wanted to, right? I could do the same thing with Tatsu if I wanted to. Oops, I went the wrong way, so I did an autocorrect. Whoa! Oh! Interesting, because I'm still holding forward. I have to let go of the controller. I actually have to let go of the controller. Oops. Oh, maybe it doesn't work with Tatsu's. Interesting. Does Tatsu, oh no, there it is right there. Oh yeah, because I do it with Kimberly. I do it with Kimberly. So yeah, you can do it with anything. Just make it so that the point at which the opponent passes over your head is, before that you finish your input and you press the button after you turn around. That's what an autocorrect is. Ugh. One of the biggest, no, Choni Ranchito, I am playing on a cabinet of sorts. I am playing on the Quamba 2009, which is this buddy right here. So this is the Quamba 2009, and I have my PC down here, and I just play on the monitor up there. So, the worst part about this one is if you press the button too early, you will DP the wrong direction. So if you mistime it because you thought they were over you already and they weren't, you will come out with the DP in the wrong direction, which means you will basically die, right? Now, there's also the crosscut. And the crosscut was named so by John Choi. And when he first started calling it the crosscut, all of us in Northern California were like, that is the dumbest name. No, we are not making crosscut the official. And now it's crosscut. It's crosscut. Everybody just calls it crosscut now. So again, the DP motion is forward, down, down, forward, right? That's what the DP motion is, right? Well, the beautiful thing is that down doesn't care what side you're on. Down is side agnostic. And so another way that you can do the turnaround dragon punch is literally do not a whole half circle back. No, he called it that during like, I don't remember when he called it that. But you don't do a full half circle. Look at my input thing in the middle of the screen, right? You can see the white flashing arrow. You're gonna go forward and roll the control to down back. That's it. And so what you're trying to do with this motion is be at down when the opponent jumps over you. And so when they get to the other side and then you hit down back, now it's down forward. And that will get you the DP in the other direction. Because you're technically doing the forward and the down input facing one direction and then down forward in the other direction. So what's nice about this is that it is a clean, sweeping motion. The hard part about this is that you can accidentally time it badly, and if you do it too early, nothing happens. If you do it too late, how is that still coming out, game? I'm mad about that. Is it because the first forward buffers that long? Jesus Christ. Yeah, because the first forward buffers so long. Very, very, very long. Yes, it works very well while crouching too. Like if you go jab, like if you do something like that, you can, if they jump over you, you can be like, oops, that's too slow. Okay, so I can do like something to that effect. It's hard. I've never done it that way before, so, but I will tell you one of the biggest advantages of this. Oh, you can just do half circle back, yeah. It just depends on the character and what priority he has, but most characters have the priority on the DP, so the DP will usually be the one that comes out. But like if you accidentally mess up and like do something weird and a fireball comes out, you're gonna be very sad, right? So that's the thing right there. But the beautiful thing about this one is that because the motion is fast and simple, you can get this one at the last second a lot better than you can with an autocorrect. And especially if you're like walking forward, right? You can just be like, bam. You see, like I can literally like walk forward and get it really fast. And you can't do that with the autocorrect. Because if I try to do that with the autocorrect, I'd have to, like, it's just like that buffer window is too long. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not gonna work. You'd have to do, all that shit happens. So really, honestly, the crosscut is like the fastest way to do it in a pinch, which is why most top players will be using the crosscut most of the time, as opposed to the autocorrect, because it is the fastest version that you can get, basically, and do it really fast. So that's a really powerful thing. Now, autocorrect is still really good because if you're closer like this and you weren't expecting the jump, you know, kind of a thing like this sometimes, like, that's not even necessarily true, but it's just, one of the nice things about it, honestly, is that, you know, it's easier to tell when, well, now I can't do it at all. Okay, crosscut's better. I like crosscut, it's more comfortable. But yeah, that's essentially the difference between those two right there. So again, I just really like crosscut because it's fast. Like so, but you also have to be closer to, like they have to be kind of above you as well. If they jump really far over you, you just do the DP in the other direction. You don't need any sort of fanciness, just DP in the other direction. But the problem is, if they're jumping over your head like that, like they can, like if you try to DP, you could go the wrong way and stuff like that. And so if they're here, like it's easy to do that forward walk in the crosscut like that. So is a flash kick like DP always an autocorrect? It's always an autocorrect. There is no such thing as a crosscut. So the crosscut is basically the reason why it works is because the entire input is on the forward direction, right? And in a way that is the inputs can match each other well, right? So if I tried to do a crosscut fireball, I have to go down, down, forward, back, right? Which is like, what? Right? Like, what? Like, that's not a fun input at all, right? Like, that's just a weird input. But the nice thing about crosscut is that you're going from down to down forward, which is super easy to do, right? So it just happens that the DP motion works super, super well for that. So yeah, if it's down up, it's just side agnostic. It doesn't care, so it'll always, but you do have to make sure that you're patient enough because you can still do it too early and go the wrong way, right? So you can still do that, right? Which is a problem. So you just have to make sure you're at a distance where they do make it over you. Now, Knuckle Dude does do this. Oops, he will walk and then do the flash kick, like so, to make sure he gets under them. he has done that before, especially good in the corner, because then if someone jumps at you in the corner, you actually get the turnaround from them. Whoops. You can actually swap places with them. So if I did this, whoops. Is that not all? Oh god, I actually moved forward a little bit there. How do I do this without moving forward? That's a good knockdown. Can I just do like... he's still too far away. Oh god damn it! Oops. See, the flash kick goes the wrong way and stuff like that, and it's kind of upsetting there. But if I walk and then do the flash kick, I'll guarantee that Ryu is in the corner and I get in this cool situation, so. Can't you empty jump and block the flash kick? No, not on the walk. Not on the walk at all. Because I'm still hitting you out of the air. So I'm still hitting you out of the air, so it's not gonna work that way. Like so. So there, but the thing about it is, that's not so much a crosscut or an autocorrect as it is just taking advantage of the buffer window of special moves, right? The fact that you can actually walk and flash kick like that is just because they gave a tremendous buffer window to Guile's flash kick. So, and that's all it is, so. Oops. You hate Guile so much. I forget, who's your main character, Naughty Senpai? God, were you the Chun-Li player? Dang it. There we go. Just had to charge long enough. Yeah, Marisa is very, very good against Guile. Oops. I mean, it used to be, but I don't think it's as bad as it was before. Oops. Dang it. Am I really? No, I'm hitting the button at neutral. How is that still coming out his back? That's weird. There it goes. Guile's a weird character in this game. He should be better than he is, his results I feel like should be better than it is, but it's just never that good for some reason. And it's not like we have a shortage of guiles. There's actually a pretty decent amount of guiles out there. That's right, they got rid of his flash, they got rid of the flash kick super motion. I'm sad. This one is +6, +4, +1. Oh yeah, it's gonna be the same with all the characters. So you're a Terry player, that's cool. Well, there you go. New technology for Billy Badass there. Nice. Let's go. Let's go. I love to see that. Let's go. Aki and Guile is not like miserable because I know like you know, you could throw the OD fireball at Guile and it is annoying. And I remember seeing someone distinctly pick Aki to fight a Guile, but I can't remember now. Or maybe I just misremember. Oh, that's not going to be +7 though, because it's not a counter hit anymore. There's no way to really do that unless I drive rush cancel. But if you drive rush cancel, then you also stand up, right? So, you should totally be able to get enough charge for that. Come on. Oops. Come on. That's +9, so I have a few extra frames there. Oops. Come on. God, it's like just not long enough time for me to charge that, but I bet you I can. I'm not putting enough delay in the thing. I mean, there's no point to do this because there's so many other combos you can just do, you know, like this, but I'm just trying it for fun right now. ST was just close heavy punch. That was the one. Big fan of Guile in this game, says Nuke Pool. By the way, I hope the stream goes well. I'm going to lurk as I get ready for bed. I mean, I'm close to being done as well, but thank you, Nuke Pool. Appreciate you. Just finished running some Third Strike. Been working events for the first time this year, and I hope to see you around sometime. Come say hi if you can, so. Oh, where he named it Crosscut, Mike Lee? Guess not. I guess you don't have enough time to charge for that. Huh. Oh, I got it! I got it! There we go. I don't know how I did it, but whatever. I just did it right. Of course, when I was just trying to casually pull it off, I got it. Every time I concentrate on it. It likes nothing. I just need to charge faster is all it is. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. But also, I just have to charge faster. I have to do jab, neutral, 2 medium buttons to down back as fast as possible. Like that, so. That sucks. Dude, that one is the craziest one. Yeah, the first time I was like, wait a second. Yeah. And it's like almost every range too, because that heavy flash kick goes so far. Look at that, dude. It's crazy. Oh. Oh, it's not a chain? Oh, okay. Twitch app on my iPhone was temporarily bugging out and claiming that the stream only had 1 viewer. I hope that this bug prevents Twitch from paying streamers. No, should be fine. So, anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and call it a night then. So thank you guys for tuning in and watching and hanging out and stuff. So I will see you guys soon. Like I said, I'm trying to stream a lot more, especially because I'm kind of like, I want to get Elena to master, and I'm very, very close. I think it'll take me longer to get some other characters because obviously I researched Elena a lot. But if I can get Elena to master in just 3 sessions, I think that'd be really, really cool. And means that technically I should be able to get most of the characters to master, you know, within a couple of months or so, you know, like 2 months or so, if I just, you know, play at a casual pace and stuff, right? So 2 to 3 months or something like that. But that's definitely still a goal that I want to do. So I will definitely be playing some Elena again very, very soon. So Marisa would be a good one to research because I die to Marisa all the time. Like, she kills me, and I know Marisa's hate Kim, but I hate Marisa as Kim. But also, it's just because the range is annoying to fight that one, and when Marisa gets on you, like, it's hard to break free because I don't have ODDPs and stuff like that. It's just really, really annoying. So so we can duo and 2 XKO. All right, let me actually research Yasuo and I'll let you know. So anyways, thanks guys for watching. Take care. I'll see you guys next time. And yeah, once again, the day this podcast graced your ears was the most important day of your life for me. And don't go anywhere, by the way, because I will raid somebody. So I'll see you guys later. Peace.
It was Tuesday.
All right, let's raid somebody. Let's raid somebody over here. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. Who's on 2XKO right now? Oh, Super Noon is on. Oh, well, Mango is playing it, huh? What's that situation like? Is he Have people, you know what? I don't want to know. I don't want to know. Never mind. I'm not going to ask. Ooh, Jonathan Tene is playing. And let's see what's going on in the world of Street Fighter over here. You know what? Let's go head over to Jonathan Tene. So please tell him I said hello, and I'll see you guys next time soon. Peace.